going live. Says you are live. All right, so those in the chat, let me know if everything is looking and sounding fine. I finally decided to reinsert like background graphics into the podcast so it doesn't just look like a black screen now. So I was editing that before we did this. And then we also got some updates on Reset Era from both Zippo and Kelios, insiders who have proven to have known things in the past, or have at least reported on things in the past and have been right about it, so it seems like they have inside information. And what they are saying is that we're going to get a Nintendo Direct announcement, like, tonight. Like, by the end of this podcast. Is that going to be true? I do not know. Maybe I shouldn't, like, say this because everyone might get really excited. Prepare yourselves for it to not happen because the disappointment may be super impactful. But I'll just point out that it isn't just me that's been talking about this for weeks now, right? Because it's not just that. Like, most media outlets have already, like, put out, like, their predictions and things of that nature. There's reason for it. A lot of people are hearing about this. It does seem like something is happening tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Hence the title of the podcast.
I've seen, like, several, like, notable YouTubers, like people who would know stuff,
right?
And they were like, they're all hinting. They're like, oh, maybe something's gonna happen. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like an announcement. Who knows?
Yeah. So definitely, you
wink,
know, take it with a grain of salt, guys. And by the way, guys in the chat, I haven't gotten a chance to see you guys in the chat yet, but just let me know if everything's looking and sounding good. Actually, I see a few saying that. 3vote 8965. Hi to Silverlight, thank you. Cool, Anime Dreamer, cool. So you guys are saying it looks and sounds good. So that's great. Because YouTube is telling me that something's wrong, but maybe they're wrong. Yeah, everything seems fine from here. I'm hoping everything looks and sounds fine, but just keep me posted. I can make adjustments if need be. But anyway.
I find half the time YouTube says there's something wrong, it's just an absolute nothing.
Yeah.
That's YouTube being YouTube.
I hope so. Yeah. Alright, so there are several things we need to talk about, because it's just been interesting, guys. So, I haven't even told you guys what we're talking about today. So, for those who are new here to the Nintendo podcast, we do every Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I am joined by Brandon from WhataboutNintendo and Dumo from Dumo Plays. Both their channels are linked in the description below. Hello. How you guys doing?
Good. Yourself?
Good. I am just, if you can't tell, a little overwhelmed by this constant influx of information and demand for this Nintendo Direct. Yeah. But basically what we're going to talk about today are the number of rumors that we are taking seriously, because there's all sorts of rumors all over the place, but we only try to talk about rumors that seem to be backed by an insider who has a proven track record. We're not just going to go on 4chan and see, oh, that's a nice looking list, that's probably true. No, not that. And a lot of people
list somebody posted.
Yeah, basically. So we're not doing that. What we're covering are people like Zippo, his name's no longer King Zelda, it's like Seed, Tsubasa, and Reset Era, and Kelios. All of these people have shown in the past to have known information. They've done it repeatedly, so that's why we take them seriously. So those are the rumors we're going to be looking at, but also we got some information sort of discovered on Twitter as well. There is this Mario 35th Anniversary Twitter page. There's this F-Zero Twitter page that both were made back in March 2020, and their emails line up with other professional Nintendo Twitter pages like the Smash Bros. One, the Splatoon one. So it seems like they could be real, and if they're real, does that mean an announcement for those is right around the corner? Maybe. So maybe F-Zero's coming, maybe the Mario 35th Anniversary. I mean, that's been rumored and reported ad nauseum at this point, so it seems like
for so long.
Yeah, but we're gonna be talking about all of that, and then of course we got Paper Mario: The Origami King this week, and there's been a lot of talk about that, so we're gonna be getting into that as well. I've been enjoying the game. We'll get into that, but also there was an interview that came out about Paper Mario from Prime, Donkey Kong, and Paper Mario producer Kensuke Tanabe, and something that was blown out of proportion was some people were reporting that Kensuke Tanabe said that Metroid Prime 4 would be casual. That is misinformation. That is a lie. If you read the interview, Prime 4 is not even brought up. he brings the Metroid Prime series as an example of Nintendo's design philosophy, how even with a core game like that that's very challenging and definitely catered towards hardcore gamers, they still designed it in a way to try to make it inviting for casual players. To say that when they do have a casual approach, that does not mean that their games are going to be super easy crybaby games. It means that it's meant to be inviting for all sorts of people. But we're getting to all of that today and then some. Whatever you guys bring up in the chat, we'll try and get to it as well. Adding us makes a lot of it easier, of course. But yeah, that's pretty much the general plan for today. I don't know how long this podcast is going to go. Dumo has to go to sleep. We probably have to go to sleep, all of us, because there may be a direct in the morning. So you might want to get up in the morning to watch it. But yeah. So what's on your mind? Just let it all out before you jump into the thick of things here, because there's a lot.
I don't like when people keep changing when something's going to be announced.
Okay.
So it makes me question it,
Right.
but they're legitimate. So like they've been good sources in the past. So I'm skeptical, but very hopeful.
Right.
Yeah, I need some news. I want to know what's coming for the rest of the year so bad.
Yeah. But see, that's the interesting thing. That you say rest of the year. I think that's logical. At this point in the game, we are in mid-July. That's the 7th month of the year. And if you look at the last few years on the Switch, the second half of the year has been usually a fair bit stronger than the first half, especially with 2019. So a lot of us were hoping that Nintendo would have a presentation sometime during this part of the year where they would tell us what's to come for the second half of the year. And this has been a historically long way in terms of waiting to see what Nintendo's holiday plans are. But given the pandemic environment, I get it. They're doing things differently now. So I would have thought, like you just suggested, Dumo, that this would be a full-scale Nintendo Direct to tell us what's coming up at least until like November and December. But we haven't gotten the announcement yet, so it's led a lot of people to believe that if this July 2020 rumor is true, which a lot of people are believing is true, which a lot of insiders have been suggesting is true, then maybe it's going to be Shadow Drop like another Direct Mini. And if it's a Direct Mini, historically speaking, Direct Minis, they don't really tell us what's happening 6 months from now. They just tell us what's happening for the next 2 or 3 months from now. So there's less going to be announced in terms of major announcements from Nintendo. But if this latest rumor is true, there will be an announcement. It won't just be Shadow Drop. It'll just be announced like less than 12 hours before it actually comes up. And we're going to find out by the end of tonight, apparently. So just so you guys know what I'm referring to, okay? Because I'm going to show you what I'm referring to here. This is on Reset Era. Let's see here. Where did Kelios bring this up? And just to be, let's see. And you got. I'm a reminder. Take this with a grain of salt, right? I know it's exciting. I know we all need it, but it might not happen. So let's just be prepared for that, okay?
Another thing is that it might not be what we're thinking it is.
Right.
Because Nintendo did say that they wanted to move away from Directs, or at least not do them as much. So this might be labeled something else, and it might be a smaller scale. So they might be just announcing maybe 1 or 2 big holiday games, possibly the anniversary thing, and that could be it. Or they could do a whole thing and just drop a ton of third-party stuff, and which is what I would much rather see, is just everything.
Right.
Yeah. So let me show you what Kalos is saying here. Do one of you have the stream up? Because I'm trying a slightly different setup now, so I do not know how it'll appear. So let me know if this looks right. Okay. Looks like it looks right here. So
I have to wait for the.
I know there's going to be a delay, but basically, right here we have Kelios. This is Kelios, the real Kelios that's been reporting on Twitter. He privated his Twitter account because he was tired of all the toxicity. But basically, he's saying that the announcement will be for Madrid time 6 o'clock, and the presentation will be 16 o'clock. So I guess that would be 4 p.m. Right? Is my math correct? Yes. And then in Japan, it'll be 1 p.m. the announcement, and then 11 p.m. the presentation. And then for us on the East Coast of the United States, like myself, the announcement will be midnight. So less than 3 hours from now. and the presentation will be 10 a.m. And for the West Coast, it'll be, at 9 p.m. for West Coasters, and then 7 a.m. in the morning for West Coasters, the actual presentation. So we're talking about a 10-hour gap between announcement and release, according to Kelios. Is it true? Hard to say. Brandon, I'm also assuming you got to see the setup. It looks fine in terms of...
It looks fine, yeah. You can see,
good.
You can see it.
Cool.
It's good.
I felt like I would make the setup in terms of presenting the information neater than beforehand.
Yeah, no, it looks good.
Cool.
You were doing well, so I didn't want to interrupt just to say it was doing well.
I appreciate it.
Interrupt if there's a problem, not if things are going
Right?
great.
Exactly.
Keep that in mind. But yeah, so what do you guys think of that? Do you guys think that could be the case? It would be historic if Nintendo has an announcement for a Nintendo Direct at midnight, and then the morning after it actually happens. And I mean, if it's true, I'll just say, if it's true, again, take it with a grain of salt. Because, I like talking about this. It's really exciting, but I get a lot of people are really antsy about it right now. So if it ends up not being true, I know there's going to be a lot of blowback. People are going to be really upset. And I'll be real with you. I myself am at a point where I'm kind of a little, I don't want to say hostile, but I feel a bit of desperation for Nintendo news. So I'm kind of with you guys.
Yeah.
But I'm also trying to keep my expectations somewhat in check, because I understand that regardless of how reliable a rumor may be, that doesn't mean 100% it's going to happen. Things can change. We never really know until it actually happens. So I'm trying to keep my expectations somewhat in check here. But assuming what Kelios is saying is true, right? It would mean that it's the first time ever Nintendo has done an announcement like this. And it also might suggest that this is not a Direct Mini because they're announcing it ahead of time, just not that far ahead of time.
They would shadow drop a Direct Mini usually.
It's a very odd time to announce something. Now, granted, you're talking midnight Eastern, right?
Yes.
Okay, so midnight Eastern, you're still talking 9 p.m. Western. It's not great, but it's not bad for North America. But it's still a really, why wouldn't they announce it 10 p.m. Eastern? I don't. It's kind of hard because I know it's an international announcement, so you got to kind of time it all at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's giving it such a short amount of time. It makes me skeptical as to how big it actually is.
Right. It could still even be a Direct Mini, and it's just a live presentation. But they maybe it's somewhere in the middle. Maybe it's not as. It's a little bit more impactful, and there's larger announcements that sort of tell us what's to happen throughout the year. So it's bigger than the Direct Mini, not in terms of maybe length, but in terms of the oomph behind the announcements and what those announcements mean for the rest of the year. But maybe it's not going to be as large as, for example, E3 2019, where that Nintendo Direct was arguably the best Nintendo Direct of all time, or one of them. It's not going to be that, but maybe not as little as a traditional Direct Mini either.
Well, I mean, I said this, I forget if it was last week or the week before, but I didn't think that if we got a Direct, it would be a replace E3 kind of Direct.
Okay.
I think it'd be a normal sized Direct.
Well, the other thing we got to remember is that Nintendo did send out to their partners, third parties, and told them not to wait for a Direct and to announce their own games. So, again,
might be a more
question,
first-party focused Direct then.
Yeah, I question how many announcements they're going to actually put in, so I could see it being again
a first-party focused Nintendo Direct would be pretty sick, I think.
Oh, I think it'd be exciting.
Yeah.
But what are you going to announce? 3-4 games? So they
it could be
do
a
it
deep dive situation, right? Where
I mean,
but at the same time, they could also just be 4 trailers back to back to back with release windows, and then more to come later, or
they wouldn't be too upset about that.
I wouldn't
honest.
be. No, at this point in time, if
that's all
I don't even need windows. It pops up just 4 trailers, boom, 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 boom.
I'd be pretty happy.
This year sometime, I'd be like, okay, that's good enough for me.
As long as the games they say are coming out this year are as long as it's a competent lineup, I don't care. You could just tell me the highlights of the year, and I'd be good. As long as I know that. That's all I really need to know right now.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's tough. Mind you, at the same time, they could be working something with a third party that's working with one of their IPs. They could be like, there's so many options right now.
Okay, so there's some bridge titles between first party and third party. Like there is Bravely Default 2. Nintendo is publishing it, but it's being developed by Square, and then Square has their own like different teams working on it. There's, you know, it's not like a clear cut situation. Like that, whatever that game is, I expect that game to be at whatever's happening tomorrow. I expect Bravely Default 2 to be there. Like that game's been a known quantity for a little bit already. We got a demo for it. There's feedback for it. They haven't changed the release date yet at the different investors meetings. It's still 2020, no TBA or delays or anything like that. So I expected that game to come out this year. That's my opinion. I don't think it's going to be delayed. I think that's one of the games we should probably expect tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%. I think we need to hear about that game.
Yeah, like again, like it's one of those. If Nintendo publishes it, I would expect it to be there. But again, like they have so many options to what they could do. That it does open it up. It probably would get its own month too. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see it.
So I'm gonna go ahead and check the chat real quick. Got a lot of comments here. So let's see what's going on here. Hello there, everyone. There's a lot in the chat, so if I can't get to everyone, I'm sorry. But if you at me, I will try my best to get to you. So, Computer Robots, you are such a cuter. Where do these Nintendo fans get ideas from? Well, I mean, I think that was before the podcast even went live, but the ideas from Reset Era from Kalios, who has a decent track record here. Indian Skywalker, when do you think the Direct will air? Well, assuming Kalios is correct, 10 a.m. Eastern time. So, tomorrow morning. Let's see here. What's going on? Beverly, maybe it's possible. Maybe. All right. Yeah, I see a lot of people in chat, so welcome everyone. I can't get to everyone, but again, if you have any questions or ideas to bring up, just add us. We will get to it. But yeah, so you know, Dumo, have we like talked to you specifically about what you're expecting from the presentation? Like Ben and I have like been talking about our predictions for months at this point, but like, what are your thoughts on what to expect during this potential direct?
Well, again, Bravely Default. I don't personally expect to see Breath of the Wild 2.
Oh, man. You and everyone else but me.
I know.
Yeah.
I've said it before, and I'm gonna stay with what I said.
Yeah,
I expect that. I expect it next year.
Okay.
Again, I don't think we're gonna see Metroid. Unfortunately, I think that'll
my
be
heart here. No Zelda or Metroid. My two favorites.
Either next year or 2022.
Okay.
I do expect to see something Mario. I mean, I think like the rumors have been rampant. I don't know how in depth they're gonna be, but I expect to see some. There is and again, I expect something Zelda. They want Zelda.
So you don't expect Breath of the Wild 2, but you think we'll still see something Zelda.
They want Zelda to be an annual release. So I could see a remake. There was the Skyward Sword that was kind of dangled in front of us by Aonuma. There's still they still have the two that were brought in HD to the Wii U, and it's one of the few ports they have left to bring over, so I expect it at some point. And I'd be happy to get it too.
Yeah, so here's my problem with Skyward Sword HD. I want Skyward Sword HD, right? My problem with Skyward Sword HD is nothing about Skyward Sword HD itself. It's just that, let's say, hypothetically speaking, we get Skyward Sword HD this year for the Zelda game, right? That will mean we'll get Skyward Sword HD. Assuming the rumors are true, we'll also be getting Pikmin 3 Deluxe, 3D World Deluxe, the Mario Remasters. We already got Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. We also got Tokyo Mirage Sessions, another enhanced Wii U port this January, and that all will have been the games for this year. All of those games, I think, are great. All of those games, I think, will probably be nice enhancements. But all of those games will have been games that have existed for a long time already. They got enhancements and are not original content. Meaning,
it's a little bit too much
if
content.
there's no right, so if there's no Metroid at this Direct, if there's no Metroid Prime 4, if there's no F-Zero, if there's no Splatoon spin-off, or then there may be some of those things. Like maybe we still get the Skyward Sword HD and the Mario remasters, but they also give us a couple other new game announcements. Like, hey, if we don't get Zelda this year, we don't get Metroid this year, but I get a new F-Zero, I'm not gonna cry about it. Okay, I'll be pretty good. I'll take my F-Zero, I'll take my Mario remasters and my Skyward Sword HD, and I'll be very, very content. I'm just thinking that there's got to be some original games. Like, whatever it is, there's got to be something there. Because at this point, I feel like it might be just too much repurposed content.
Well, it's been 3 years since we've had a 3D Mario that's new.
Yeah.
So again, it's how much do you want to put stock into those rumors?
Well, the Mario,
there was talk that like 6 months ago that they were working on a 3D Mario, which I'm sure
I believe
are
that
nonstop.
Oh yeah, 100%.
3 years is enough time to do it. So did they stop and do the remakes in between? Are they just doing a massive Mario blowout?
I really just don't think they would just announce like Super Mario Odyssey 2 for this holiday now. That is like
that would
they have
be
announced it at E3,
really
though?
out of left field.
Would they have announced it at E3 though?
No, I think it's too close, too soon from announcement to release. To be honest, for 3D Mario.
I think it would be really soon, but it's also a really big splash as Sony and Microsoft are trying to make waves.
Yeah,
it's just, I don't know, it's weird. And Nintendo, honestly, Nintendo's marketing's been weird. It's been different since Reggie left. They've had a lot of changes, and they're not without that face there. It just seems like there's been a lot of changes in how they're doing things. Obviously, we're not getting directs anymore, or at least like the way we were. So I don't know. It's a tough one because they've been so quiet for so long, and they have so many things that could technically come around. Like it doesn't. They generally take about 3-4 years for a game, anyways. 3 years for a second Mario Odyssey isn't ridiculous in any way, shape, or form. It seems like a good time, but then the problem is that it doesn't seem like it would be coming amongst a ton of other Mario content.
It's also why I don't expect Mario Kart this year either. Yeah, because it just feels like a little bit too much Mario in a small time span. Like if Mario Kart 9 is real, I'm expecting that to come a little bit later. Like I think they would space out Mario releases. And I love Mario. Mario is one of my top 3 Nintendo franchises. Like the 3D Super Mario games are my favorites. Like if we're talking about my top 3 Nintendo franchises, it's Metroid, Zelda, and Mario. And I'm talking about the 3D ones. So I'm all for Mario games, and but I just think they need to space it out a little bit. So I do not expect Mario Kart 3D World and the Mario remasters, and we just got Paper Mario now, and that's in July, the 7th month of the year. So that's just a little bit too much in a short time span, in my opinion. So probably not Mario Kart, assuming the rumors are true. So but I want to check.
Does it make sense to release a new 3D Mario game if you're having a collection of 3 3D Mario games that are enhanced?
Right.
So now another one, just to throw it out there, it could be a partnership where they are publishing. Capcom has predicted absurd sales for this coming year, and next year as well.
It seems like any game that's like a pretty good game that comes out is breaking records. Ghost of Tsushima is doing incredibly well. Paper Mario is at least outdoing Sticker Star and Color Splash. So, and those games just came out. Obviously, Animal Crossing did incredibly well. Last of Us 2 did incredibly well. I think if a company is able to come out with a game this year, you do it, because that's a huge opportunity to create a larger fan base for that game. Which is why I think it'll be a huge loss if there can't be something Metroid to come out this year, because Metroid needs it. So if you come out with a 2D Metroid this year, even if it may not come out this year, if it does, I think that would be so great for the franchise, because guaranteed, if it comes out in a month where there's nothing else that's super major, that game's going to do incredibly well. It's going to be like the best-selling Metroid game of all time.
Yeah.
We also have to be careful that it's something that fans latch on to.
Well, as long as it's not Metroid Chibi Force, I think it'll be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like you gotta think, like a bunch of companies right now have like big predictions, and so the question becomes, what are those? And we know some of them are Nintendo and Nintendo exclusive. So if it's something that's being published by Nintendo, one thing that's been floated around for a while, and people are probably gonna laugh at me anyways,
Monster Hunter?
but Monster Hunter.
Yo, hey, because I know they've been talking about they've said they're working on a Monster Hunter game for the Switch, but it's gonna be kind of like along the lines of the PSP titles, which that sounds pretty good to me. I mean, obviously the graphics would be better because it would be for a modern, more powerful system, the Switch. So I think that would be great. If that comes out this year, that would be a really, really awesome exclusive to have.
There are a lot of people in the community that have talked about how they would like to go back to an older design, less environmental design from World, but keep a lot of the quality of life aspects.
Mm-hmm.
I know, like one of the big YouTubers for it was saying, older games felt like you were in a battle arena with the monster versus using like your environment as much. So there's definitely want for it. The question is, like, as much as I really want it, but Iceborne is still finishing up content this year. So would they release it this year, or is that going to be something that comes out possibly next year as well?
True.
So it's kind of it's a tough one. Like again, everything kind of runs into each other.
Mm-hmm.
But Nintendo did this last year where they had nothing at the beginning and just piled on at the end of the year.
Very true.
So let me check in with the chat real quick. So guys, every like 15-20 minutes, I'll try and check in with the chat here, because I know you guys have a lot of good points and questions. And again, it's easier if I can get to them if you at me, because I see it highlighted. So let's hear that. Diverse Gamer, what would you want from a new F-Zero? So I think that's a great thing to kind of talk about right now, because as we mentioned in the beginning, there was this Twitter page that came out that, or at least it was discovered, that was at F-Zero JP, and I think I have it still up here somewhere. I do. So I'll just show you guys real quick. Yeah. So yeah, we had this page here, and if I were to, yeah. So I mean, this is it. And it was at March 2020 when it was dated, and it's just at F-Zero JP, but the email matches up to the other Nintendo emails, so it might be real. So that kind of begs the question: could we actually see a new F-Zero? I think that's kind of a maybe at this point. But what would I want to see from a new F-Zero? That's interesting, because F-Zero GX is my favorite racing game of all time. But the problem with, let's say for example, if they wanted to just copy F-Zero GX and bring it to the Switch, that would be challenging, because F-Zero GX, a lot of the turning and drifting was heavily reliant on the analog triggers of the GameCube controller. The Switch does not have analog triggers, it has digital triggers, which basically means when you press it, it's just one input, right? Analog triggers, there's varying inputs there. So if you press it softly, it's a soft drift. If you press it hard, it's a hard drift. If you press it midway, it's a mid drift. On Switch, it's just on-off. So the way that would control would be completely different. So they would have to rethink how they would do F-Zero. It wouldn't play exactly like GX. So it would be a little bit different. But hey, if it's kind of more of a spiritual successor to, not just successor to F-Zero X, that's fine, because I fell in love with the franchise on the Nintendo 64 with F-Zero X. So that's what I'm kind of hoping for. And I think the thing that they could really advance on with the series is kind of an obvious improvement, and that's online, actually. So there was a famous interview from Miyamoto talking about how they didn't really know what they could do to push the series forward, but considering the modern era, the perfect opportunity for F-Zero is to take that online. And let me present an idea to you guys. Some of you may have not considered this yet. we got like the F-Zero content we've gotten last few years is from Mario Kart. We got the F-Zero tracks, and that's pretty much it, right? But that was
no
nice.
Captain Falcon.
Right.
Character,
But you know who made that?
reason.
The Mario Kart team. The Mario Kart team is incredible. Mario Kart 8, I think, is just an amazing job. But then they went ahead and did another amazing job with ARMS. Now, what's special or interesting, but like, what do those two games have in common is what I'm trying to get at. Their online infrastructure as far as Nintendo games go, I mean, it's not great compared to the competition, but compared amongst Nintendo games, there's a good online multiplayer community.
It works.
It works.
You can play. It's not Smash.
It works, exactly. Although Smash has gotten better, but I agree with you. Point I'm trying to get at here is that ARMS came out back in 2017. What has that team, the Mario Kart / ARMS team, been working on? It's 2020. I think 3 years would be about enough time to make a brand new F-Zero game with a major EAD team like that. So if I had to place any bets, if F-Zero's real, if it's coming, and if it's in development now or coming out soon, it wouldn't shock me if the Mario Kart / ARMS team was working on it, because the way to really push that series forward is to offer up a really significant and extensive multiplayer online mode. And just bring...
I do think that would help a lot.
Yeah.
Just because when I play Mario Kart, most of the time it's online these days.
Mhm.
Like, that's most of my hours.
Dude,
on
F-Zero would be
Mario Kart
great, but
Deluxe.
see, what's interesting about F-Zero, though, is that, yes, it's a high-speed, futuristic racer, but it also has a lot of combat elements as well. Like, there's this separate mode in F-Zero called Death Race, where it's not really a race to get to the finish line, it's a race of survival, where you have 30 vehicles just going at each other, trying to destroy each other, racing at high speeds. So that could be like its own online mode where it's more about survival, and that would be something separate from the races, which of course you could also have. So I think there's
that'd be
a
awesome.
lot of opportunity here for a awesome, super epic F-Zero game that has online components. Like, I think it would be really awesome. And I don't think you have to do anything crazy in order to modernize the series and make it like a fresh new experience, because it's been so long, and just giving it that online would be enough to bring it to the modern standards, I think.
What do you
Fast
think about
RMX
them
was-
doing like a story mode or something?
Oh
Campaign.
man, I think it would be pretty good. Like, people love Captain Falcon. You know, like they showed Captain Falcon in the Minion presentation. Like, he's an awesome character that people have grown to love. So I think it would be a missed opportunity if there wasn't like a cool story mode to go along with it. But Duma, you brought up Fast RMX.
Fast RMX was a huge splash when it came out, and it just kind of shows that it's still something that people want. It's still like it still works. Everyone, like at the time, everyone wanted Shinin to just make a Fast RMX game next.
You mean like
so? Like,
to make
yeah.
F-Zero.
yeah, they were. There's a lot of people just being like, at Nintendo, have Shinin do Fast RMX and just let us have it.
So I have.
And also just one more thing on the note of no analog triggers. One thing it does have that can replace it, whether people like it or not, is gyro.
Nope. So
You can
the problem
ease
with
on,
that,
ease off.
they may be able to have that as an option. I understand what you're saying. It's a thought I've also had, but I think the issue that could arise with that is that F-Zero is such a fast game. It's so fast. It's arguably the fastest racing game ever made, or one of them. So if you're going to have these super fast, intense turns, you need something that's super precise and very stable, and motion controls might not work for that. And maybe it can. Like, for example, it works in Splatoon. Maybe it could work in F-Zero. I'd have to see it in practice, but I'm skeptical of it. But I'd be willing to give it a try at least.
I wonder if they could do something just making like the bumpers do different speeds, like
Maybe
like
one is more intense.
shallow turn, like a harder turn,
Maybe.
Or
That
drift
might
or
be all you
whatever.
need to do, because there are more buttons on the Switch controller, so there are ways they could get around that. Absolutely. And I think that's how they're going to probably get around making Sunshine work on the Switch, because there's more buttons. They'll be able to make up for the lack of analog triggers with that. So I could see it. Yeah, but I just want you guys' opinions, though, because I'm excited for F-Zero, but I also understand that even if this Twitter page is out for real, the Nintendo Twitter page, which is not guaranteed, that doesn't mean that F-Zero is going to be announced really soon. It could just mean Nintendo just got something in preparation for maybe someday, or maybe it's at least in development, but it doesn't mean it's coming out this year. So I'm taking this with a grain of salt. I'm not assuming F-Zero is going to happen, but I think there's a chance, and that's enough for me to be excited about it. So I'm talking about it. But
I
what do you guys
think?
think?
It's real.
Okay.
Just because it was made back in March, and I feel like if it was a rumor, like back in March, we were all like, "When's the direct?" Kind of mode. Like we are kind of like how we are now, but it was way worse back then. And for somebody to make this like as a fake back in March and just like not say anything is insane. Like why would they wait till now? That doesn't make any sense.
Now, one consideration though is that could they have made it back in March and then changed the name? Would it still, you know what I mean? Like, can't they
don't know.
And can they change the email? So maybe they could have edited those other details. I don't
think you can just change the email associated with it. I'm not sure.
It's not something I dabble in, so I'm not certain either. I'm just bringing up potential counter arguments here. Because I desperately want it.
Weird to make it and then wait 6 months for people to discover it. It seems weird to make it and then wait 6 months to shove it out and be like, "Hey, look, everyone, I have this. Like, this is real, I swear." Like it.
So, but the argument I'm presenting, and I'm not sure, is can they have just had a Twitter account that was not used, a private Twitter account that was not used, and then they saw this Mario 35th anniversary pop up? Maybe that one was real, but once that one was real, maybe someone saw that and they had their own private Twitter account and they just went ahead and edited the name and email. Is that possible? I don't actually know myself. So I want to see.
I don't actually know. I don't know Twitter well enough, but I don't. The other thing it could be like, we could discover a whole bunch of these. We could discover ones for Eternal Darkness, and like this could just be Nintendo snapping up names so that other people don't have them.
Right. It's possible.
Like this could just be them snapping it up. And again, like F-Zero, it's like, well, this is our property, so we're going to snap up that name. And then if in 20 years we care and there's an F-Zero, we can put it down.
It is weird to do that now, though. Like, both of those, especially the Super Mario 35th anniversary one, because that one's way too specific. It only applies to this year. So if you don't already have plans of doing anything, why are they grabbing it up? Like,
well, the 35th anniversary, I feel like that is like 100%.
Yeah.
I like even if it's like, if all the other rumors were bogus and we weren't getting any remakes or anything else Mario this year, I feel like they have to do something to address it. So it's going to have to like that. I feel like it was a legitimate it was a legitimate Twitter account that they were setting up. That they are setting up, and it's going to be going live. And again, like they could have just been like, okay, we're doing this one. Well, then at the same time, we'll just grab a couple more, just as we're in the mode of doing this. And it might also be, around that time things were shutting down. They were making plans for shutting down. This might have been part of their plans. Like, okay, well, we can't focus on this right now, so we're gonna shift focus and we're gonna focus on this for a little bit, which is why it could come up then. So I don't know. I want to say that there's something coming for F-Zero. I really do. The fans want it. There was a huge outpouring of it. Again, Fast RMX was really big and people loved it, and it was a great launch.
It's just like you gotta think Nintendo's gonna reuse the franchise eventually. Like someday it's gonna happen. It's just a question of when, really. And I'll point out that I think this whole Twitter account thing, assuming it's real, does kind of add more context to the Captain Falcon emphasis during the Min Min presentation. Now, I made a couple of speculation videos on this, but even at the time, while I suggested it as a possibility, I wasn't like, oh, and hey, F-Zero's happening, guys. But I think it's interesting that they did decide to bring in a voice actor that had not worked on Smash since N64, so it's been such a long time, but they decided to bring in a voice actor now for Captain Falcon, and there's a lot of emphasis behind him during the Min presentation. Granted, there's been other Smash trailers that have even had Captain Falcon, but I think it's also worth noting that we have seen on a few occasions where they're having Smash reveal trailers that have been used to tease Nintendo games. The best example that comes to mind is when they revealed the Castlevania characters, and they literally showed us a new mechanic for Luigi's Mansion before Luigi's Mansion was even announced. So it has happened. Now, I don't think there was any mechanics that were shown off for Captain Falcon, unless you have to drink a giant soup bowl while you're racing F-Zero. But, you know, maybe that was a part of, like, the marketing for it. Maybe, you know? Like, Nintendo has shown to, like, doing little teases like that. So I think it's possible that maybe F-Zero is happening. But I'm not going to assume it because, you know, disappointment. Right. But it's definitely, I think, at least a decent possibility.
I did actually figure out that you can change your email address, by the way, just to clear that up.
So you can change the email address.
You can. It's just highly unlikely that somebody went and made 2 Twitter accounts in March and then suddenly changed to them, and then somebody found them.
What, wasn't this like someone known for doing this kind of stuff is who found them?
I actually don't know who found them.
Do we have an idea where this came from as to who found them? I'm pretty sure that was reported.
All right, so I have an article here from Video Games Chronicle.
Because it would seem really awkward. Like it'd be weird to me if suddenly a name gets changed and some random person was like, "Oh yeah, I found this," but at the same time, we're in a weird time where people are at home, they're really bored.
It's possible.
Not a
so
lot going on.
It's why you have to take this all with a grain of salt, guys. Just take it with a grain of salt.
One thing I'm not sure is if you can change it to a different email address without confirming the email first. Like, so
yeah,
I don't know if they would need.
They could have made an email that was similar.
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah. So.
Oh, at the same time, what?
Well, it is an at.
It depends on the domain.
At and something. So they would have to get an email that starts with an N for the domain part, right? Like you can't just create a Gmail that looks like that. Can you?
Yeah. You have to have the domain, like you have to be a part of the domain to do it. So if it's from the same domain as other accounts are, you're not getting access. Like I guess technically you could hack it and make it, but
so what I would say is that I think the domain part is interesting, so that makes it a little bit harder to do, but people have gone to great lengths to create fake leaks before. It wouldn't, it's not the first time. Grinch leak.
It's not impossible. Oh god, the Grinch leak. So yeah, it's definitely not impossible that somebody could have done this. I just don't think it's very likely.
Yeah.
I feel like those are legitimate accounts. I'd be very surprised if they're not.
I am hoping.
Now, whether or not they use them or use them anytime soon,
I'm extra hoping for that one.
And I hope they do. Like, yeah, I'm not big on racing games
But you're big on F-Zero. It's gonna be the best
F-Zero,
racing game ever.
It, like, again, it's what I say a lot of times. Like, I'm not big on Smash, but I'm happy every time there's a Smash announcement, just because like so many people get excited for it, and that to me, like, I'm fine with that. If everyone else is excited, it doesn't have to be for me. I think I don't have the money to spend on like 100 games a year. So if I get to skip a couple, the rest of the world is really pleased and everyone's overjoyed that things are coming back, I'm good with that. I'd be happy to see F-Zero, just because it would be an announcement that people would be happy for. And I feel like these days a lot of announcements get trashed on pretty early, and I feel like an F-Zero announcement would be really hard to stomp on. At least at the beginning,
there would be so much excitement for it. It would just be amazing just to see it happen, because it's been such a long time. It would just it would go over really well on the internet. That would be fine.
What do you say? Oh well, that looks so much better than the last F-Zero, but I don't like the way it looked. No.
Well, I think the problem would be if they pump out a new F-Zero and it's like cartoony Federation Force chibi style or something like that, then people would be upset.
They'd have to really mess it up.
But it would be going against what F-Zero has been known for. Like F-Zero, if you play the F-Zero games, they have very high speed, like high energy music. A lot of it's like rock and speed metal and things of that nature. It's very challenging. It's super fast. There's lots of like crazy, like, I don't want to say mature, but there's a lot of tracks that are very, there's a lot, it's not like Yoshi or Kirby. Like, the worlds are super, like, crazy. Like, you'll go through fire fields, or you'll be racing on moons, or like comets will be coming, or you'll be racing in futuristic casinos, or things that are more of a serious nature. So my point is, if they were to go ahead and create like a chibi version of Zero, that's just not what F-Zero fans have come to like for F-Zero. So
now
I doubt that.
Devil's
I feel like all
advocate
those
on that.
apply to Metroid. when they did that.
Has Nintendo shown that they're not willing to take a series in a completely random other direction that people don't like?
This would be a great segue for Paper Mario. So let's put a pin on that. I want to get through the chat real quick with the added questions, and we'll be getting back into the Nintendo Direct rumor stuff, guys. But I do want to talk a little bit about Paper Mario. So first, when we get to the chat, let's talk about this Paper Mario situation, because that's significant, and then we'll get back to all the Direct stuff. So, Discount Link added me Skyward Sword HD, Girahim and Smash. So let's revisit Skyward Sword HD for a moment. Again, if that was to be the Zelda game for this year, I'm okay with that. That would be fun. I just hope that there's some original games from Nintendo that come out this year as well. So if that happens, I'm all for it. I think that'd be really great. I'll also argue, though, that on the chance that Breath of the Wild 2 somehow has a miraculous release for this year, which again, I think most people don't think that's going to happen. But if it does, I think it makes a lot of sense for Zelda's 35th anniversary next year to have a Zelda collection similar to what we're going to be supposedly getting for the Mario Remasters. So supposedly for the Mario Remasters, we're getting 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy. What if next year for the 35th anniversary, we get Twilight Princess HD, Wind Waker HD, and Skyward Sword HD as a package?
It would be strange to use Skyward Sword to promote 2 huge anniversaries in a row, though. So they did the 25th anniversary for Skyward Sword, now the 35th anniversary with Skyward Sword HD. That would be interesting.
Well, it'll be part of a package.
I'm just saying, it'd be kind of cool to see Skyward Sword be like the poster boy of the anniversary again.
Well, what's special about Skyward Sword is that it's the first Zelda game in the chronology of the Zelda series.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense to be a game to celebrate the history of the series, because it's the first one in the timeline.
It totally was.
Yeah.
Its story and setting was definitely meant to celebrate the entirety of the Zelda canon and universe.
Yeah, so, I mean, it would be really great to see. I do think that it would be a lost opportunity if they were to have a Skyward Sword HD and they were to just have it be motion control only. Like, I think you could definitely, like, map or get a general approximation of the motion controls on Wii with the Joy-Cons for Switch. But if that's the only way to play that game, then that means you can't play in portable mode. You can play tabletop mode, you can play in docked mode, but you can't play in portable mode. So, my opinion, if Skyward Sword HD does happen, I think there would be a dual analog control setup, which they probably could just map the sword attacks to like the second analog stick or something like that.
They have. I feel like they'd have to, or just change the battle system all around, because you can't. Can you really release a Zelda mainline Zelda game that your Switch Lite can't play out of the box?
Oh, that'd be horrible. Yeah.
Oh, you need to buy.
I feel like it's easy enough
to
to just map the sword to the right stick. I've literally been saying this since.
I think that's how people probably play, like when they play on Dolphin or something. Like they just map it to like analog buttons or digital, like a directional pad or something.
And they can definitely do that, and I'm sure it would be fine. But I don't see them making it where there's not a dual analog stick option. I don't feel like you can release a mainline Zelda that your Lite can't play.
No, that'd be ridiculous.
Yeah. But Discount Link also presented Girahim Smash. So what if we got Girahim in Smash Brothers? I think that would be an interesting character to see. Again, there are so many possibilities, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. It would be nice to get another Zelda character in there. Now, I feel like it makes more sense that if there is going to be a Zelda character, it will be a Zelda character from Breath of the Wild 1 or 2. But, you know, I won't complain if we got Girahim. That would be pretty cool to see.
Girahim is one of the cooler, like, boss enemy in the Zelda universe. I don't know why words are not working for me right now.
That's okay. We don't need words. We need Nintendo Direct.
Excitement.
True.
Yeah. So DE Fox added me on that note and said, at this point, I don't need a Direct. I just need news on games. And it kind of goes back to the point you guys talked about earlier, how like maybe this Direct ends up just being like consecutive trailer drops and there's no like discussion between. It's just like trailer. Then after 15 minutes, like 3 or 4 trailers or 5, they're like, all right, have a good day. I'm okay with that. So, you know, whatever sort of news we get, as long as we get news that tells us about new Nintendo games to come out throughout this year, I think that'll be fun.
Yeah.
I just want to know where my money's going.
It's going somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
I would like to know that it's where it's going towards Nintendo versus one of the others.
So I think we touched on it earlier, actually, and I want to ask you guys about this. But so because there's this debate, is it a Direct Mini? Is it an actual main Nintendo Direct? I feel like it has to be main Nintendo Direct because if Nintendo doesn't announce their holiday plans now, then I think they're going to lose out on pre-order sales. Like, I think it'll actually affect them financially if they don't announce things soon.
I will say Microsoft on the 23rd, this Thursday, is having their big, like, their replacement for E3 show.
Right, and you think at that point we get, like, a release date and pricing, right?
Yeah. I don't know about that, but we know for sure that we're going to see Halo Infinite, their big game.
Okay.
You know, their biggest holiday game. So...
I just think, but do you guys agree with me though, or do you see it differently? Like, am I right in the assumption that Nintendo would lose out on some pre-order sales if they don't start talking about their holiday plans now? Because, like you said, the big Xbox event is coming, PlayStation 5 is coming out later this year. Are they losing out on something by not talking about stuff?
Opening up for holiday stuff very soon.
Well, they'll have to start talking about it, but do they need a Direct? They can just drop trailers. They could.
Yeah. My point is this, though.
But they can.
Hypothetically speaking, let's say it's a Direct Mini tomorrow, and the Direct Mini tells us about games leading up until like early October or late September. Do you think whatever they have planned for let's say they have a game for October, November, December, and it's not in the Direct Mini, and that's not announced until a couple of months from now? Do you think by not doing that, they are impacting their potential sales?
Yes, 100%.
So then, I guess you guys agree with me that there's really, like, Nintendo kind of needs to talk about their 2020 plans as a whole soon, as opposed to waiting a couple more months.
Or at least get started on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have to at least get it moving, because if not, they're gonna. The longer you wait, the shorter time you have for the games that are closer to be pre-ordered. It's not too bad for the ones coming out, you know, at the end of December, but. You know, if something's coming out September, October, you're kind of pushing it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll have to wait and see. Maybe Nintendo's a better understanding of how they're going to do things, but that's just my take. I feel like they have to at least get started for sure. So Arnav Makela added me. At what time did the mini Direct release in March? Just want to know so I know how early to wake up if tomorrow's Direct happens to be a mini. That's a good question.
Right. I mean, we've had Directs as early as like 6 a.m. our time sometimes.
I don't remember exactly when it came out.
I believe normally a lot of the Directs are 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific.
Yeah, I think if you're up at 9 a.m.
kind of a
good
spot for it.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I just wonder if if I click on this, it's gonna make noise. I'm trying to see if it tells. It's not gonna tell me the actual time. It's just gonna tell me the date, which I know is the 26th of March. Yeah, it doesn't tell me the published date here, like the time. So
you'd need to see like an announcement tweet.
Just off the top of my head, though, I remember in the morning that I was up because of the Direct Mini. So be prepared. Be early in the morning. I'll say that the rumor from Kelios is suggesting that it's coming out at 10 a.m., but we'll see.
10 a.m. what time zone?
Eastern,
Your
10 a.m.
time zone?
Eastern
Okay.
time. Yeah, so
That would still be
yeah.
like around where I kind of expect it to be.
right.
Yeah.
So if you live on the Pacific Coast, it'd be 7 a.m. for you. Yeah.
Honestly, I would go an hour earlier than that. If you really, really want to see it as it happens, I would be looking at that 6 and 9.
Well, I mean, I'd be
because-
staying up for the supposed announcement of it.
Yeah,
tomorrow,
we'll
so-
see. I do not want to go crazy with that.
But for sure, I mean, they could just drop it tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
I
if
see
we don't get an
I
announcement,
know.
you guys.
Monster Maze in
I-
the chat. I like Monster Maze. Very, very awesome Zelda YouTuber. You guys should check him out. Really, really cool stuff there. But welcome. Continuing on here in the chat though, Control Alt Dan added me. There was that leak that said Samus's Revenge for 2021. Not sure about that name, but I think that release window is realistic. I'll say that a lot of people at this stage, like people who supposedly have inside information, have been suggesting that Metroid won't come out this year. Do I agree with that? I don't know. I don't know if they actually know. It could be their speculation. I think it's safe to say though that by 2021 we will have some sort of Metroid game. My hope is that we at least get like a 2D Metroid this year, or at least an announcement so we at least know about something Metroid by the end of this year, hopefully in a direct tomorrow, maybe. 2021 is not crazy though. I think at least something Metroid will be out in the year 2021, but I'm hoping for a little sooner.
I'd say that's fair. I wouldn't be too surprised. Maybe not announced in this direct, but if we did get like a 2D Metroid, like, you know, late spring, early summer, or something like that next year. Maybe
Yeah, I could see it.
a little bit earlier than that, but you know.
I would really like it accompanied with a little bit of footage, something they've been working on for Prime 4.
That'd be nice. I don't think it would
I
happen,
mean,
but that'd be nice.
I feel like it's
Maybe
been
E3
it's been
2021.
enough years they
There
could.
is an E3 2021. Yeah, but they had a restart. We don't know what's going on, so it's a whole.
But it's been years since the restart. I'm just hopeful. Come on. I want to.
I
see
could
something.
see. I could see them announcing something, or showing like a teaser trailer next year. I don't think it'd be at the. Well, it could be at the same time as this 2D Metroid thing, but maybe like E3 2021 if that actually happens.
Maybe. The DE Fox added me Oracle of Ages season remakes.
Yes, I'd take that so much.
Well,
over
after we
Star
got the
Wars.
Link's
Yeah,
Awakening
yes.
remake, it kind of, I feel like that would be the next in line.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Honestly,
Minish
I would
Cap
be-
also be awesome. But
I would be perfectly happy if at some point in time the Switch had access to every single
Zelda game.
real Zelda game.
What do you
yes.
mean?
We'll see-
You didn't like the CDI games?
well,
My
we could
favorite.
pass.
Wand of Gamelon's not good enough for you.
Ugh.
Well, I mean, if they want to put it on, they can.
No,
but
you're right. Oh,
Get that
you're right.
trash off my desk.
No. Yeah. The Joker added me. I hope they actually announce Mario Odyssey 2 at the end just to drop that news. That would be pretty nuts. Like, so I'll give you this. I don't expect it at all. But let's say they show us the Mario Remasters, they announce 3D World Deluxe, and then they're like, hey, here's a sneak peek for Mario Odyssey 2 coming 2021. I think that is actually feasible. Do I expect it? No, but that'd be
There's a
pretty cool
very
to see.
small chance that that could happen. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Maybe like 15% at the most.
15%'s not bad.
honestly, that would be better than what a lot of companies have done for major anniversaries.
True.
You know,
Yeah.
It'd be
The-
better than
a
Nintendo
game announced for
usually
next
does.
year is a whole lot better than, hey, here's a plush.
Yeah.
Here's
Nintendo
an
usually does
oversized
just a whole
plushie.
bunch of nothing. So the fact that there's all this rumor about the 35th anniversary stuff is very surprising to me. So
It also seems a little bit weird that it's like, oh, 35th. It's like, that's not 30th,
Right.
50th, 35th. Like, why not just celebrate the 38th? I mean,
The 38th would be my favorite.
is,
Yeah.
like,
Jokes
is there?
no.
I don't know.
Jokes
I'll
is-
take it. Whatever anniversary it is, I will take it if it's coming. Like,
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah.
Jugs McGee added me. if F-Zero is being made, who do you think Nintendo handed off to develop? Last time they handed off to the Monkey Ball developers, and they did a great job. GX is like the best racing game ever. But I talked about earlier how I feel like the Mario Kart and ARMS team would be a really good fit for them. So that's I'm sticking to that. They're really good at making pretty good online multiplayer-centric Nintendo games. They had the racing experience. They even did some F-Zero content with Mario Kart. I think they could definitely pull off an F-Zero. So that's what
I think Shannon could do a great job if they had a bigger budget, but they just
I think they would need to be significantly bigger. Like, yeah, a larger budget for, like, if you want to bring them in, like, in collaboration with another Nintendo team, like, if it was, like, a collaboration, okay. I don't think that would be awesome. But on their own, they wouldn't be able to really pull it off.
Yeah. No, I think we need help. But mind you, at the same time, what if, just saying, like, what if Nintendo was like, okay, we'll give you this, and you have access to Monolith.
So it'll, like, these massive worlds. That'd be cool.
But then they have, like, because it's not like, Monolith didn't put a massive world in Splatoon, but they were in the credits. Like, they can just hammer out a bunch of extra work for them and still make it happen.
That's
now,
true.
Another option, because someone had mentioned a crossover between F-Zero and Star Fox, I believe it was.
Oh, no.
And
Star Fox Grand Prix.
Now, just... Yes. And who was making that? Rumored.
Oh, Retro Studios.
Retro.
Yeah. Oh, like I...
What if they've been sitting on this before? Like, this is what they were finishing up when they were like, no, we want Metroid.
So to be clear, you're not suggesting the Star Fox Grand Prix, but you're suggesting F-Zero.
What if it was F-Zero with some Star Fox crossover into it? Like, just, a couple characters, some...
So I'll say that, there is, this character in F-Zero already that's called James McCloud. James McCloud literally drives an R-Wing and is the human version of Star Fox.
No, just saying, what if someone saw something or heard something of this, and that was their takeaway,
hold on, I got that confused.
And it was not actually a Star Fox racing game that they were hearing about? Because it wouldn't be the first time that a rumor got a little bit mixed up. And
I still feel like people saw the DLC for Starlink in the racing segments and was like, Star Fox racing game.
Maybe. But this is what I'm referring to for James McCloud. So James McCloud is, yes, the father for Star Fox, but also a character in the F-Zero series. It has an R-Wing shaped racer, who is also dressed up as someone who was from Star Fox. So kind of interesting how that, like, there are a few different characters like that. Like, there's also the EAD character as well. There's a few, like, characters in F-Zero that are, like, nods towards other Nintendo franchises. So to your point, maybe they could, if they were to bring back F-Zero, they could use this really large universe in F-Zero to kind of incorporate other Nintendo franchises in there. Like, maybe there could be, like, a Star Fox, like, true cameo, like, not just James McCloud, but, like, an actual Star Fox. Maybe Kirby gets in there. Like, I don't think that would be too crazy, because the F-Zero universe has all sorts of characters and species and in there. So if they were to have, like, an expanded roster beyond the traditional 30, I think it's not out of the question, especially, like, as, like, DLC or something.
And just on that note too, as far, like, I know now the Mario Kart team would be wonderful doing an F-Zero game, but I also would really trust Retro to do a good job as well. So
yeah,
I do think Retro could pull it off. Yeah,
it'd be one of those things where it's like you hear the studio, and I'd be like, it's like they flash F-Zero and they're like Retro, and you'd be like, ooh.
They did help out with the tracks for Mario Kart 7, the Retro Studios did. So there is some experience there in terms of track building for racing games.
I feel like they're talented enough they could do whatever.
Right. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, you're literally going Donkey Kong to Metroid. I mean,
it's very different.
I think they can do whatever. I think they're talented enough they can do whatever they want.
Yeah. I think they totally could. So if they're doing F-Zero, that would be a great fit too, I think. So
And then again, being a
yeah.
North American studio, I would also kind of I feel like they would have a better understanding of what they want for online.
Okay.
Because I don't know what
Yeah.
it is with Nintendo when they're online and why they're just sort of more miss than hit. But I feel like North America has really put a larger emphasis, not even just North America, but just more Western has put more of an emphasis, it seems, on the online.
Yeah.
And I feel like if there was a studio in Nintendo where I feel like they really know ahead of time, like have a clear vision of what they want it to be for the online, I feel like it would probably be someone like a Retro.
They have been hiring a lot of staff recently. And I'm assuming this is more for Metroid Prime 4, but they have been hiring a lot of staff recently that suggests that they're going to have some talent that would be well equipped for putting together a pretty good online component to a game. Now, we assume it's for Metroid Prime 4, these latest hirings, but you don't know for sure. So it's just kind of interesting to consider that. Like, for example, they hired the guy from the lead like engineer from Black Ops 4, was it? Just came out not too long ago, and the big thing that he was specializing in was the online component to the game. So
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like again, I feel like there's a lot of studios out there in Nintendo that just need these key hires to really kind of push them over the top. And that'd be one of them. Again, like it's not like, oh, I think for sure that Retro was doing it, but it's an interesting idea. And it would also mean that the game is ready and they're waiting on it, or very close to, if they're already going full in on Metroid Prime 4.
yeah. But I said I would get through the chat, and we still haven't gone through the chat before we get to Paper Mario. So there's a couple more things I get to in the chat, and then we'll talk about Paper Mario. I promise. Let's see here. There's quite a bit, so it's kind of hard for me to get to all of it. But let's see here. I definitely missed some things, so I'm sorry. I'm not gonna be able to get to all of it.
The one that I brought up with Retro, the crossover, that was I believe that was one of the ads. So
Okay.
that may cover one of the ones that you're missing.
Okay, that helps. Beverly's asking, do you think we'll see a Shin Megami Tensei 5 teaser?
Oh.
Like, it's been like in development for so long at this point.
So long.
Like, I don't know.
Is it vaporware, or is this actually still coming?
Yeah, it's
They
I think
did
it's still
mention it
coming.
recently, didn't they? Like not like recently, like maybe 6 months to a year ago, that where they were like, no, this is still in
has-
development.
Yeah, it
I
hasn't
think
been canceled.
they
So
mention it the same way they've mentioned Bayonetta 3.
Yeah, where
Yeah, it's still a thing.
it's
Sure.
coming. We're still doing that.
We
It's-
did not cancel it, guys.
Yeah, I mean, at some point or another, it's gonna get revealed. I'm not. I wish I could like give you like more like specific info on it, but like at this point, like it might happen, but I just don't. There's nothing in my head that's like indicating that. Oh, maybe this is the time. I think part of the problem is that we don't know how big this presentation is. Like, my expectations are less than E3 2019. So, how much less that kind of just, yeah.
That's a high ass bar.
Well, it's less than that. So, how much less we will see?
Now,
Yeah.
I'm also wondering if they're doing this announcement to give not tell us how long it is or what it's being.
But just to put it on the
the
map
the
again.
direct is coming so that we and see if the community as a total blows this thing way out of proportion. It's like it's going to be 7 hours long, and they're going to show off everything for the next 5 years, and just kind of really, because that's what's been happening, is that people have been blowing the directs way out of proportion, and then they come away like, it seems like every direct people come away, it's like, yeah, it was okay, I guess, but it didn't have the game I wanted. It's like, well, what if they try to set it up to have like no expectations and then try to have that big blowout in it, or at least have a mini blowout that at least feels bigger because we didn't expect, Mario Odyssey to Breath of the Wild to Metroid Prime 4, F-Zero with a 10-year plan of making more F-Zeros, and like,
Yeah.
because like that's just kind of where we're at right now, and that's what people have been doing.
I feel we need to see Breath of the Wild too, even though it's not coming out this year. Just like another teaser trailer.
If it's like a major Nintendo Direct, I agree.
It feels weird that Nintendo would announce or would have a Direct tomorrow when they, like, if it's not something big, when they know that a few days later Microsoft is having a huge presentation.
Nintendo will be strange.
So you don't want to come out and just be like underwhelm people and then have Microsoft come out and be like, oh, this is how it's really done, and then just destroy you. Like, that'd be horrible marketing.
Well, I don't know.
Maybe they're banking on. Well, no, they can't, because, and that's the thing too. Microsoft on Thursday is saying games and only games. They're not talking price, specs, system, anything. They are showing games.
Well, I think one thing we should consider here is that Nintendo's not going to always outperform their competition. It may very well be the case that right now, Nintendo isn't in a position where they could be like, all right, Sony and Microsoft, you got your next-gen systems with all your super awesome 4K 120 FPS games. Well, here's Metroid Prime 4, Breath of the Wild 2, Mario Odyssey 2, Earthbound HD, and F-Zero, I don't know, XZF. NX, that makes more sense. Like, Nintendo may not be in a position where they could just show all their cards and just completely outshine the competition. They may be in a position where Breath of the Wild 2 is not ready yet. Metroid Prime 4 probably not ready yet. Mario Odyssey 2 may not even be real, although I think it is.
I really hope they're in a position where
off.
At least Zelda is able to show, like, even if it's just another teaser trailer. I mean, they have to, right? I mean, if you showed a teaser trailer last year, there's no way you can't show, even if it's coming holiday 2021.
No, I think they 100% have to have something, because the game's been in development since 2017. I mean, I thought that it could come out this year. I still have hope, but we'll see. Point is,
I think Zelda is one
along.
of the few announcements that's going to keep them in the headlines throughout the week.
Mm-hmm. That would do it.
They need something.
They don't even need it to come out
Thursday
this year.
comes around and they're just not immediately forgotten about.
Yeah, in terms of like attention, I agree with you. Now,
I feel like just even not an announcement or saying it's any closer. I feel like showing another trailer for Breath of the Wild would be enough to keep them relevant. Well, next gen starts dropping everything. It might not be front page what everyone's talking about, but at least it's relevant and it's news worthy of. It's like, yeah, Microsoft has all this, and by the way, did you see the trailer for Zelda?
Right. I think they need something that makes this week Zelda and Halo instead of just Halo in the news.
Halo,
especially if the games.
What was that?
Yeah, especially like let's say hypothetically the only big games that are coming out this year are the Mario Remasters and 3D World Deluxe. That's not going to do it in terms of like comparisons to like the next gen systems. Like it just won't. Will it sell really well? Yeah, it's going to sell really well. So, but maybe Nintendo doesn't care. But I want to get through this chat. Yeah. So, Fudionox1709 asks, do you think there will be any news for Kingdom Hearts on Switch? I am not a big Kingdom Hearts guy. I do know there was that Kingdom Hearts announcement not too long ago. Isn't there already technically a Kingdom Hearts coming to Switch?
Yeah, I don't. Is there?
Yeah, is it like
which one?
Like Melody of Hearts or something?
So it's not
there
a
was
mainline.
one for the 3DS.
Now, just kind of on that same note,
yeah, there was a Kingdom Hearts announced for Switch.
There was the week a while ago. What was it? Amazon that had the Warner Bros, Square Enix, Ubisoft, Bethesda, Capcom, Take-Two, and 4 Nintendo titles that covered multiple systems, and in that there was 2 exclusive Nintendo Square Enix titles.
So I just realized what I was referring to. Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory. Apparently, this is a brand new rhythm action game. So that's a spin-off. That's not a mainline Kingdom Hearts series, I guess. I don't know that much about Kingdom Hearts. It's coming out this year, apparently. from
No-
Nintendo.
no
according
date, just
according to
time
Nintendo
this
Life.
year?
Will launch later this year. So I mean, maybe that gets an update or something soon.
Then I wouldn't expect to see a one. I wouldn't expect to see 1, 2 remakes or just ports coming this year if they have that coming. Maybe next year.
Yeah.
Hopefully next year. I mean, it's something people want.
Yeah, but at least something Kingdom Hearts on Switch. I mean, that does bode well for the future, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand why the 3DS game it got a port, like a remaster to the PS4. Why don't they just port that to the Switch? It was already on the 3DS to begin with. Port that. Give us that.
I'm sure we haven't seen the end of ports and remasters, so don't you worry, there will be more. Moving on though, Ronnie Fazio. Since samurai games are so popular right now, do you think Nintendo might bring Takamaru out of retirement and remake the mysterious Murasama Castle? Think Platinum or Koei Tecmo. Hey, it's an interesting idea. I'm all for reviving old Nintendo franchises, so if it happens, cool. Do I expect it? No, I think we have a better chance of getting F-Zero. Or maybe like Kid Icarus. That would be really cool. Like maybe like
Kid
if they
Icarus
bring
would be
back
awesome.
that franchise, it would be kind of like a smaller title, like something not as major of a release. Maybe like an eShop title or something. But who knows what the future holds. Plum.exe. Girahim is an assisto, and if Zelda assists get upgraded, it has to be Skull Kid. Oh, right, because we were talking earlier about maybe Girahim getting into Smash Brothers. I would say that I would pick Skull Kid over Girahim, but they're both like antagonists for different mainline Zelda games. So we'll see. Hey, and maybe later in this Fighters Pass we will see a assist trophy get upgraded, because that's like one of the last things that hasn't happened. In terms of like fan rules or like concepts that hold back characters. So that would be kind of crazy to see if that does happen. Speaking of which, I'm still thinking we will see a Smash announcement during this Direct, especially if it's more of a general Nintendo Direct as opposed to a mini. But Brandon, I know you disagree. We disagree on that end because you think it's too soon. But my argument is that if you look at the different Nintendo Directs, like if you go back to every Nintendo Direct, every single one has had some sort of Smash news in it. So I still think there's going to be some sort of Smash date. There will be some sort of Smash update during this Direct.
I'd be surprised if there wasn't. I would be surprised if they didn't say something about Smash, like, especially with the Fighters Pass. Like people are asking questions. You gotta have answers.
Yep.
No, we just got Min though, and this passed over like 2 years. We just got the first character.
Well, the character won't. I don't think the character will come out soon. So, like for example, last year at E3, we got both Banjo-Kazooie and Hero revealed with gameplay, but Banjo-Kazooie didn't come out until September. So that Direct was in June. He didn't release until September. So I could see a situation where maybe we get an announcement for the character now. Maybe it's not even a full-blown gameplay trailer. Maybe it's like a reveal trailer, kind of like with Joker, where there's a cinematic, but we don't know how the character plays quite yet. And then 3 months from now, when Nintendo's finally ready to have like a late year Direct, or maybe just have a Sakurai Presents around October, that's when they come out with the character, when it's about time for that character to actually come out.
Possible they could do that. I just don't really want them to. And I hope that they don't need to. I really hope so. Because Smash DLC is great and all, but I really don't want them to keep leaning on Smash for things to talk about.
I get it.
They've been doing that
but
for years now.
But that's the thing, though. They've been doing that, so I expect it. That's what they've been doing. I think they're going to continue to do it until the well dries up and Smash development is just entirely done.
And
So
it keeps the game relevant and selling. Like, it's one thing I remember a lot with Splatoon 2, while it was getting constant updates every month. It's like, oh, is Splatoon 2 still active? Well, it just had a major update last month. It just had a major rebalancing. They just added a bunch of weapons. And so like the conversation was always like, of course it's busy. They're still adding to it. There's lots to be added. So the more they talk about Smash, the more people are like, well, do people still play this? Well, obviously, but that's still the question everyone asks. And the more they talk about it in these events, the more it's going to drive the sales of it, because people that are like, oh yeah, I forgot about that, and I need to pick that one up, and it does happen.
I guess I just don't feel like they need to promote it again so soon. Like they just had a big promotion with Min Min. I feel like they just were shining their spotlight on it for a bit.
I don't think they need to, but whenever Smash is involved, there's always more attention. It just helps. So either way, I think it'll be huge, but I think when Smash is involved, things are better. So that's just what I think. But I guess we're gonna see soon with tomorrow, assuming the rumors are true. But micro app. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Like one thing that is kind of big with whenever something gets announced for Smash, a new character, I have never seen. At least I've never noticed any like backlash. It's always just a happy thing when people get a new character for Smash. And some people might be like, oh, well, I was kind of hoping on this, but it's never like, oh, well, how dare they bring this person to? Or
well, Byleth was pretty ill received, actually. Yeah. But I think Byleth is still a great character. Either way, there's gonna be a lot of attention. So good or bad, like you could. What's that figure of speech that like? Negative press is still good press or something like that. Like, so, but yeah. I don't think there's any character they could reveal that won't. Sure, there are some characters people be like, oh, I didn't want that character. Like, for example, if Minecraft Steve is the next character, people will be like, oh, I don't want that character, but I think it'll be fine either way. But anyway, Micro added me. Imagine if tomorrow Nintendo doesn't show off a Direct, but instead give an announcement of a Direct. How would you react? I actually might be more pleased because then they're announcing something with some time in advance. Like, so if let's say they make an announcement tomorrow and the Direct's on Tuesday or Wednesday, that's a little bit more of a window for us to sort of anticipate what's going to happen and prepare ourselves. And that suggests that they have a bigger presentation in store for us. So I'd be kind of pleased with that. But at the same time, though, if what Kelios on Reset Era has been saying as of like a couple hours ago, and they do make an announcement ahead of time, just not that far ahead of time, maybe it still will be a sizable Direct either way. But I'm okay with an announcement tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean,
so I'll be fine.
If I get an announcement tomorrow and it's for a bigger Direct, like say my options are a Direct Mini or an announcement for an actual Direct in a few days, like of course I'd take the Direct in a few days, but we don't know that an announcement of a Direct means that in the alternate reality where there was a Direct that day, it wouldn't have been just as big, Right. Also, it would be really weird if they announced it Monday and we're like, yep, we're putting our presentation in the day before Microsoft. That'd be very strange.
Yeah, it would be strange, but at the same time, it's like, again, people like to be given information. So if they announce a Direct, I think everyone's going to be really excited because it's a Direct. Whereas if it's coming in a couple of days, like there's no way I'd be disappointed about that. Like we're getting a Direct, we know we're getting a Direct versus not knowing. It's like when companies have Metroid Prime 4 when they had to come out and say we didn't like how it was going. Retro's taking over and it's restarting development. That went over pretty well with a lot of pretty much everyone.
For the most part.
Because we were given information, we were kept in the loop. It's not like, 3 years later, we're like, well, where the heck is Metroid Prime 4? It's like,
transparency.
It's coming. It's coming.
With the speed, like if they are clear and quick about what's going on, you're right. That goes over a lot well with fans.
Yeah.
But they've been so quiet. We've been getting very antsy. Like it would have been nicer if they said something. But Nintendo's weird, man. They're always doing things
is weird.
that are
I mean,
confusing.
Just a few months ago, we were all like, oh, we need a major Nintendo Direct, and then just suddenly, boom, Direct Mini out of nowhere. And people were like, this is not what we wanted.
No, but it's something. It was something,
Yeah.
I accepted it.
Yeah.
I was like, that's good enough for me right now. I want something.
Yeah. So, there's still a number of added questions that's continually building, so I'll try and get to them throughout the podcast. But at this point, we're going to transition to some Paper Mario discussion, and then we'll get to the questions and more direct discussion. So, Paper Mario: The Origami King has released, and I am actually kind of liking the game, but there's been a fair bit of, I guess, backlash or contention here, because a lot of people do not like the fact that this game is not an RPG. It doesn't have any experience. People are hoping for experience. They're hoping for traditional partners, and that isn't the case. There are partners, but they're very limited in their use in terms of actual battle mechanics, and there isn't any experience. And I guess with the issue with that, there's no experience. It doesn't give you a lot of reason to do the fights, is what a lot of people are assuming. And I was concerned about that when I heard it at first too, but as I've been playing the game, I feel like I'm not super far into the game at this point. I would say I'm like maybe like 4 or 5 hours into the game. I've beaten 2 bosses so far, and I'm getting into the second major area. So they've already thrown in most of the new mechanics at me at this point, and I'm not viewing the game as an RPG. Like, I'm viewing the game as an adventure with a lot of puzzle elements and with some very soft RPG elements. So when I view it like that, the game to me is pretty fun. I'm enjoying it. I think the dialogue is quite humorous. I've chuckled a few times. The puzzles are very engaging, especially, sure, there's like kind of like the puzzles in terms of exploring the world and trying to find the different toads, and when you find the toads, they give you coins, and they also sort of are forever actually a part of your audience during combat, and that boosts the ability of the cheering mechanic, which is what the toads do. So there is build up for that, so it's almost like better than Korok seeds from Breath of the Wild, but they function kind of like Korok seeds in terms of exploration, makes the world more interesting. But then the puzzles with the actual combat, I find that engaging because there's like a timer, and I'm trying to figure out, all right, how do I orientate these different characters to get the max bonus here? And that kind of makes me anxious, but in a good kind of way. So I found that very engaging. Go on. You want to add to that?
Oh, no, I was literally just...
Oh, okay, you just agree. But just to finish my thought there, and then with the second phase, it's kind of closer to traditional Paper Mario, where you have to time your attacks, and I kind of like it because it's not just on one particular enemy, they're in rows, so you have to like get consecutive, like, or nicely timed button presses, and that's also like a fun challenge for you as well. Like, sometimes I just go into fights just to see if I'm better at my timing, and you get coins and confetti, and people will argue that, oh, there's confetti in the world, you don't need that for the fights, but the confetti goes out pretty quickly, so I have found it kind of useful to fight the enemies for that. But besides that, you don't have to fight them. So basically, there's just some debate about if there's like an appropriate balance with having to fight the enemies or not. So far for me, I feel like there's been a pretty decent balance, and I'm really liking the game so far.
Yeah, I agree. I think the game is pretty good. I think it's a little bit short of like amazing. Like,
you're a huge Thousand Year Door fan. Like, you're gonna say,
I love Thousand Year Door.
And you would say that Thousand Year Door is still a much better game.
Oh, it's a much better game.
Okay.
My problems with this game is that it holds your hand so much. That's one of my problems with the game. One of my biggest issues with the game, especially in the beginning of the game, you're just constantly sitting through tutorial dialogue, and it's so slow. And it's just teaching you things. It's like, okay, let me just skip the tutorial, or just like give me some menus, like an RPG where it just shows up a menu and it's like, this is how you do it. You just flip through it and then you're good. You don't have to wait to the character explaining and telling you, okay, now put this here and do this now and do this exact thing. It's like, no, I don't need tutorials to hold my hand this much. Just tell me how the mechanics work and then move on.
Yeah,
it's been even slow. Like later into the game, like into the, like even a couple areas in, you're still getting like just these abrupt times where they're just explaining mechanics to you, and it's just like, stop. Like, I don't need this.
Yeah, I don't like that part. I agree with that. I think I wish I could kind of skip through some of the tutorials and just let me figure it out. So that is a little annoying.
I feel like those style of tutorials are sort of dated at this point, where we've had games that puts you into situations where it's going to happen to teach you, and then the dialogue can teach you if you're doing something right or wrong. Again, like Pokemon Sword and Shield's typing tutorial was basically built into the first battle, and that worked fairly well. Breath of the Wild again had like the tutorial was the
playing the game.
plateau, and
Yeah.
that was so good.
I think that's the right way to do it. Yeah, go on.
I feel like that's a much better way of doing it, and at this point in time, it's almost like a typical tutorial like that is sort of just kind of taking the easy way out. The last time I've seen those tutorials that I kind of really appreciated them in the end was probably Xenoblade Chronicles 2, just because that battle system was...
That battle system is truly complex, though.
It needed
this battle system is not.
I think, like, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I think they show you the same tutorial like 3 times in different parts of the game, and each time I was like, I still know. I had to go online anyway, so they didn't even get that right.
So I think for Xenoblade 2, I agree, they didn't get it right. But I think you're on the right track, though. And I think for most games, at least, the right way to go about doing a tutorial is having it happen in the flow of the gameplay, so you're not like in a situation where you're like, oh man, I just want to play. Like that's what I kind of hate about tutorials, especially when I already know what to do. Don't force me to learn what I already know.
Yeah.
Especially on simple games where it's like it's kind of a given. It's like just show how to use, for Paper Mario, just show you how to use the battle system, and then boom, done. Just leave it at that. Show how things move, and then let you, like, when you select things, it shows you what it targets, and just if they can't get it, it's going to be a hard game for them, and if they do get it, perfect.
I think there's got to be a balance between, okay, if you want more like help, you opt into it, but it shouldn't be like mandatory. And I think most tutorials should be kind of in the flow of gameplay as opposed to slowing down gameplay. Yeah, so that's one thing that Paper Mario could be better with, but besides that, and the motion control, I did not like having the motion controls for...
I turned that off. I didn't even try it.
Yeah, I tried it. I did not like it. There was a part I was like, I don't even know where to put the hands. It's not working. This is stupid. But I turned it off, and it works fine with the controls. I don't feel like I'm losing anything by turning off the motion controls.
I love motion controls, so that stuff stays on.
Well, to each his own.
I like motion controls when it's actually useful. This just feels gimmicky.
Yeah. I agree with that. Like in Splatoon, for example, it just makes the game better. In Breath of the Wild, it just makes the game better. Mario.
Dude, I was playing it in VR the other day, and I had motion controls turned off, and aiming my bow in Zelda is so much harder without VR. Because you lock on, but it's not the traditional lock-on system. Your weapon follows, just your camera. So you still have to aim, and then I find that the sensitivity in Zelda is so low. It's so hard.
It was fine when I play Splatoon now with my sensitivities cranked up, and it feels slow to me. So like I haven't played Breath of the Wild in so long, and
the camera
I feel like that would hurt.
So slow. It's so slow. You turn it. I have it turned all the way up, and it's still so slow.
That's all fine with me. But for Paper Mario, there's been a lot of backlash here, but I wonder, because like there was an interview that came out from Kensuke Tanabe, and several things are brought up. But one thing that he sort of talked about, because it was addressed, the backlash. It was let's see if I have it here. I think I have it here, actually. I do. All right, this is the part that I'm gonna read off here. So let me pull this up for you guys. So basically, I do think it's difficult to satisfy certain fans with the adventure game direction if they think of Paper Mario games as simply being RPGs. I hope that everyone will play this game with an open mind. So that's coming from Kensuke Tanabe in reference to the fan demand for playing more like traditional Paper Mario games. And if you read through the interview, it sort of goes on about how they try to sort of reinvent the game every time they try to come up with new gameplay, and that's the direction they've sort of headed in. And I'll say that I didn't get Sticker Star, I didn't get Color Splash, because from what I saw of them, they weren't very exciting to me. But from what I've seen of other critics reviewing the game, from what I've enjoyed of Paper Mario The Origami King so far, I do think it's at least better than those games. And I'm enjoying it for what it is. Now, I did play the original Paper Mario. I did like that game. I've touched Thousand Year Door, but I haven't like owned it and played it to completion. So I don't know that much about the glory of Thousand Year Door, but I know people really love it. But I guess I'm because I'm not like a huge Paper Mario fan, it's easier for me to be just like, okay, this is the Origami King, and I am liking it for what it is, and it's an adventure game with puzzle elements and some soft RPG aspects. And I think for what that is good, but I guess since I'm not like a long-time Paper Mario fan, it doesn't bother me as much. Like, for example, we talked about it earlier. If we get a new F-Zero and it's like a slow-paced, cartoony, very like soft, passive kind of racing game, I'm gonna be very upset, because that's not what I've come to love from F-Zero. But I'll also say that I'll be willing to give it a try, but that's not what I want. So I guess I can see why some fans are a little bit upset about it, but I'll also say that Paper Mario Origami King is still a good game.
Yeah. My issue is, if you're not going to be an RPG, I don't think the game should have bothered to be turn-based at all. I think the normal battles are a complete, utter waste of time.
Okay.
For the most part, they give you money. That's the good thing. I have found actually needing money.
I've used
so there
all
is
my
reason
coins.
to fight. Like, you need money because there's a lot of collectibles that you can buy.
Especially when it buy all like
the accessories,
yeah.
which kind of replace the badges, which I actually kind of like. I prefer badges, but I like that there's something there to replace it. But other than that, it's just, I feel like they could have just had just like Super Paper Mario, just normal, like not turn-based battles. Like when you get far enough into the game and then the easy enemies you can just kill on the map. Like that, just like the whole game. Except the bosses. I do really like the boss battles. That is one thing. I think the turn-based, because they last longer and you're actually more complicated. I feel like most of the battles in normal like overworld battles are so easy. The puzzle section's really simple and the enemies go down in one turn. If you do everything right and you don't screw it up, it's just one turn and it's over. Whereas, which doesn't, it's like, how much complications, like how complicated can this battle system be if it's only one turn? Like, that's not fun for me. The boss battles get a lot more complicated and you can actually like play the game. I feel like the battles in Paper Mario, most of the grunts, you're not really enjoying them because you're not getting into the battle system. You're just getting in just enough to defeat them and then leaving. You don't even like have to block attacks or strategize in any way, or you don't. I mean, a lot of the battles you don't even need like the optional weapons or anything like that.
I feel like, yeah, I haven't for I guess the normal battles, the non-boss battles. There hasn't been too much like back and forth between enemies. It's usually like I beat them on turn 1, and if I somehow screw up, there's a turn 2 where I take a couple damage and then I just finish them off. So I guess I wonder if that'll change. Like if we get further into the game, like will there be some like field enemies that you run into?
I have noticed like
you have to do more
enemies. I'm starting to get to enemies that aren't just being taken down instantly by the regular weapons. Like I'm having to use my shiny items. So it's getting better, but at the beginning of the game, like the battles just aren't fun at all. And I feel like even if the battles do get better, I think it would have just overall been better to either add experience, because even Thousand Year Door's battle system is pretty plain and ordinary. I think it's way more complicated than this one, just because you have a lot more different abilities you can use in combat.
Okay.
But it wasn't like super special. Like the thing that kept you going was experience points. It's an RPG.
So I'll give you that they could have been, because the argument for the Paper Mario Origami King development team was that they want to try and do different things, and I think that's fine. I think they could have done everything they've done with Origami King, and they could have maybe still have implemented experience. Like, I think that is possible.
Yeah.
I don't know if they will do it because Origami King is doing really well sales-wise. Like, they may not see a need to do it, which would be unfortunate for longtime Paper Mario fans.
Well, just wait, see what the numbers are of people that keep playing it in the coming months, because they'll be able to see a lot of that. Anyone who's really put their Switch online,
Yeah,
they'll get information back on that. It's one thing to have good sales; it's another thing to have people continually play the game. And if they get back numbers that are below expectations for the amount sold as to how many people kept playing the game, they might take it in a very different direction next time, because
the people who keep playing the games are going to be the people who buy the game next time.
Yeah.
All the people who just bought it and then dropped it, they're not going to buy the next game.
You know, like if I bought the game and put, 5 hours into it and then never touched it again, are they really banking on me buying the next one versus, someone buys the game, puts, 20, 30 hours into it, who's more likely to buy? So I feel like it's more than just the sales that's going to dictate where they go with it.
Yeah.
They're going to have to look at how people reacted. They're obviously going to be looking at the reactions of people saying that they wanted it as an actual RPG game and not the adventure game. So I think there's going to be a lot more involved in that, but so far it sounds like
I
people
don't
are
even
taking it
necessarily
fairly
think
well.
the game needs to be an RPG. I think they just need to choose. Like, is it going to be a turn-based RPG with experience and all this like combat, and you're going to go heavy on that, or is it going to be real-time battles, like one or the other? Stop with this like weird or in-between thing. Like, okay, if you wanted to have like a cool puzzle aspect to the battle system, that's great. But why is flower power removed? Why are badges gone? Why is their partners not there? Why are my abilities not there?
When you say flower power,
FP flower power. It's something you use to use your special abilities.
Oh, right, I remember that.
Which
Okay.
don't exist in the game.
Right.
They don't have
You
those.
can use a fire flower as an item.
True. They do have items. They're
yeah.
just incredibly useless.
Oh, man, I found the
I
fire
have
flower
never
useful.
used one.
I use a fire
I
flower.
have them, but I never use them because.
So I've used the fire flower when I haven't had boots. So when I see the spiky shelled enemies, it's like, oh, I don't want to jump on.
I always have iron boots.
Yeah.
So
I guess when you
I
get
guess
the boots,
it could
you
be
don't.
useful
yeah.
there, but.
They do more damage. It's a pretty strong attack. So.
Yeah, I just never found it like I needed a stronger attack, So.
Right. Yeah. So it's gonna be interesting to see like how we feel about the game as we progress deeper, because we're still early into it. I definitely, like, at this point I feel like the game for me feels fairly balanced. Like, I don't feel like there's a need for an experience system at this point, but I'm still only like a handful of hours in. As we get deeper into the game, I guess we'll see if the enemies feel like
Well, I mean, it's
just, like,
balanced for
too
a
much
game with no XP,
extra.
so you level up as the story progresses rather than as you
I
fight
do
more.
feel like it's gone a little bit more challenging as I've progressed, though.
It definitely does.
So I hope that curve kind of maintains. But
It does allow them to
yeah.
kind of scale the curve to how they want it.
Yeah.
Versus, RPGs, like everyone's, oh, this RPG is really hard. It's like, oh, it's over level. Talking about like older Pokemons being really hard. It's like, no, I just grinded a little further and then just smashed everything anyway.
So I guess an argument for against the experience is that, or the lack of it, is that there isn't a need for grinding. You play a game. Are you good? Okay, good. Are you well equipped? I mean, that's really the only thing. Like, do you have resources for battle? And I mean, some people have argued that fighting enemies can actually waste your resources. I guess that kind of depends. I'll say for me, it hasn't been the waste, because if you beat them handily, they just are a gain of resources.
I think my thing is it's not that big of an issue, simply because a lot of times, a lot of RPGs like Xenoblade, enemies are just kind of wandering around, like there. This game, enemies are like specific. For the most part, there are a few wandering enemies, but most of them are very specifically placed in order to like block secrets or block your progression. So it's not like you're battling just to like walk forward. A lot of times it's, oh, I gotta get through this battle to get to this secret, or I gotta get to this battle to get to this important location.
I mean, sometimes you get trapped.
I'm in a field and there's enemies. Like, there's a few of those, but those you can usually skip if you don't want to really easily.
Yeah. So, I mean, they are avoidable, but... Yeah, I mean, I like the game, again, but, I guess we'll have to wait and see how it sort of...
I will say, everything around the battle system is great. I actually really like the amount of, secrets there are now. It almost feels more like a Luigi's Mansion, when I'm just, that's how I play the game. It's just looking for secrets constantly.
Right, and that's what I'm just
more exploring the level, looking for secrets.
Like, I've gone back to older areas multiple times just to find more toads.
Yeah, and they're really well hidden, actually. There's a lot of areas, actually most areas I have not 100%ed, and I've gone back and looked for things.
There was this one that was really bothering me, and I still haven't been able to do it yet. There is one of the first areas, like You're
talking about the campfire?
The campfire. Yeah, the campfire annoys me because I think it's the only toad I haven't gotten.
I thought you were supposed to use a fire flower, but you can't use those outside of battle.
No, I heard there's an item that you get at some point. So I don't want to spoil that. I haven't done it yet, just for the record. So I'm not sure how that works. But I really enjoy the toad aspect of it. I think this is a good adventure game. It's not a good RPG game.
It's not.
Yeah.
I think if they in my opinion, if they just went for it to be like Super Paper Mario, where it's just like, this is a great Paper Mario adventure game, instead of trying to still make it like this turn-based RPG, that even though it's not, I think it would have been
you raise a good point, because it is like an in-between. I get it, but I do like the dial system. I like that puzzle aspect to it. So, yeah.
I like it for bosses. I tolerate it for normal fights.
Interesting. But the thing is, if it was only for bosses, you would barely do it, though. You wouldn't have as much opportunity to use the battle mechanics.
Yeah.
But I'll also counter myself by saying that the mechanics for the bosses is different from the traditional fights as well.
Yeah.
So, it is...
It's It just has more mechanics. It has enough mechanics to keep me engaged, whereas the normal battle system doesn't really.
Okay. Yeah. I wonder if there's a way where they could implement the mechanics of the dial system and not have it be like a turn-based battle. Like, what if it was in real time? Like, you don't go into a new stage. But then there wouldn't be, the dial would have to appear on the floor.
I don't understand how that would work.
I don't know either.
Nah.
Yeah. It would just be weird. But, anyway, yeah, I like Paper Mario. I'm curious to see how the game will continue, if it will pace itself well, or if it'll get annoying. But so far,
I was
it's
playing
pretty
the game right before we started this podcast. I'm pretty into it. I'm probably play it once the podcast is over. It's good.
Yeah. But any final thoughts on this before you try to get into these questions and more direct discussion?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe we'll address it with one of the comments here, but let's just move on then. So Ben Mott added me, if Pikmin 3 Deluxe is announced tomorrow, I feel they'll have to say Pikmin 4 is also coming soon. What is your opinion on this? I am not of the same frame of mind. I think Pikmin 3 Deluxe is very likely to be announced tomorrow, assuming it's real, but I do not expect Pikmin 4. Now, I'm not saying it's out of the question. I think there's a possibility that they do maybe say, hey, this is also on the way, or something like that. Like, they could do a teaser for Pikmin 4 and have a Pikmin 3 Deluxe trailer. I think that's possible. I'm just not expecting it. I don't for example, if that's what you're thinking, if that's your prediction, I don't think it's a bad prediction. I think that there's a decent chance of that. It's just not what I'm personally expecting.
I just don't think it has to happen. If they announce Pikmin 3, I don't think they have to announce Pikmin 4 at all.
Yeah.
They could. I don't know why they would. Why they'd be this close to it and then without even saying anything, be this close to it and be like, well, here it is, it's coming
Yeah,
Like how soon would Pikmin 4 be coming? It would have to be next year entirely.
Yeah, I think maybe you just come out with Pikmin 3 Deluxe now, and then you announce Pikmin 4 next year.
Because otherwise, it's like, well, why are you giving me Pikmin 3 if Pikmin 4 is right now? You know, it's not like
it would have to be like a 2021 teaser for Pikmin 4.
Yeah. I guess one important thing to note, though, is that fans have had this expectation that Pikmin 4 would be announced soon, because back in 2015, Shigeru Miyamoto said that they were almost done with Pikmin 4. So, it's been 5 years, and we haven't gotten anything. I think it's very clear that something happened, and they either restarted development, or they just put it on hold for an extended period of time. But I don't... Yeah, so I think Pikmin 4 will probably be eventually announced. I think there's a decent chance it will come out on Switch. And actually, Pikmin 3 Deluxe coming out, I think that is suggestive that they want to get this out there, acquaint fans with the Pikmin series, just like how we've talked with Metroid Prime Trilogy. And once that is out, there may be a Pikmin 4 announcement or trailers, or at least some sort of media coming soon. So I think once Pikmin 3 Deluxe comes... Even if they don't announce Pikmin 4, I do think it at least suggests that it could be around the corner.
It's so awkward because there's so many slots where they could have fit Pikmin 3 or Pikmin 4 into that. It's, if you're giving me Pikmin 3 now, it's like, why is it not 4 at this point? Like, you've had enough time. You've said you've been working on it. It should be done. You should be sitting on it by now. Why do I want port?
Consider this. If Pikmin 3 Deluxe comes out, will it sell really well?
I think it will sell okay.
Depends when it comes out. If it comes out anytime, I guess if it comes out this year, yeah, it's going to sell regardless because...
So that it kind of goes back to... It goes back to what I was talking about earlier. Like, this year is a huge opportunity for certain game franchises to come out, and because people are at home, because people want games to play, they will buy some of these games they would not have normally bought, and they could perform really well. So if Pikmin 3 Deluxe comes out, this is an opportunity for the Pikmin series to gain a much larger fan base, which could go over really well for the eventual Pikmin 4 release.
That's true.
But would Pikmin 3 sell better than a Pikmin 4 right now? Next one in the series versus the remake. I feel like the only reason why I feel like it's worthwhile for Metroid to drop Trilogy to hype up before Metroid Prime 4 is because it's a series and it's been a long time. Like it's been quite a while. Like it's time to see those again.
I do think, I mean, if Pikmin 4 is ready, if that was, the reality, then sure, there'd be absolutely no reason to release Pikmin 3. I just don't think Pikmin 4 is actually, like, a finished game. I think it went through some, like, serious development hell.
We shall see.
What is it, Square Enix doing it?
This is Pikmin RPG. And Nintendo's like, oh, you guys want an RPG experience? Well, it may not be in Paper Mario, but it's now in Pikmin. I do not expect that, but that would be interesting.
That'd be horrible.
I think interesting would encompass that.
It'd be Square, it would come out. We wouldn't have to worry about it for another 10 years.
Yeah. I think Pikmin won't be an RPG, so I'm not worried about that. Yeah. SU added me. Do you think tomorrow they will announce a major direct, and if it happens someday like Tuesday or Wednesday, or they just shall drop a mini? I hope it's the format to build more hype to it. So we've mentioned it multiple times. There is a rumor going on that an announcement is imminent. Like, we're supposedly tonight, like about an hour from now, there will be an announcement. So if that's true, if that's true, I guess the direct would be tomorrow, and it will be like a live stream presentation. If it's not true, then maybe a direct mini or something. But we're so soon to finding out, so we'll see. Discount Link added me. New Kid Icarus? Oh my goodness, I would love to see a new Kid Icarus, and it's like one of those Nintendo franchises that I think someday they should revisit, but they just haven't.
Even if they just remade the 3DS one. Remake that for Switch.
So there are some games that if Nintendo were to remake, I would not be okay with. Like, I've heard some people throw around the idea of, like, for example, bringing back Samus Returns and, like, giving us an HD version of that on Switch. I wouldn't want that, but I would definitely get Kid Icarus, because I think that would benefit more.
I haven't actually played Kid Icarus, so...
Yeah, so I can see why you'd want it, but I think it would benefit more because there's a lot of complaints and criticisms about the way the game controlled. It kind of desperately needed a second analog stick, because you did a lot of your movement and aiming, from what I remember, on the touchscreen. So, yes, a traditional dual analog control setup will benefit Kid Icarus Uprising significantly. So if you were to, like, give that game some graphical upgrades and add a little bit more extra new content with some obvious quality of life changes, basically kind of like the definitive edition approach, or it doesn't even have to be as much new content, but like something like that, I think Kid Icarus Uprising would do really, really well, and they wouldn't have to make a whole new game. And I would buy it. Even though I played through Kid Icarus Uprising, I would buy it again, because it's been a few years, and those changes I think would be significant. So, fingers crossed, something Kid Icarus happens someday. Moving on here. Harrison Dates, any chance of a new Smash fighter? Yeah, I mean, we touched on it earlier. I definitely think there's a pretty good chance. If you look at, like, the history of, like, Nintendo Directs in the last couple of years in terms of Smash announcements, pretty much every Direct there's a Smash announcement. So I think it'll happen. Brandon disagrees, though. So
I think there's a chance. I just don't see why they would.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Supposedly tomorrow. Yeah. Merrick Academy, let's be honest. How much you believe that tomorrow will be getting a Direct? Not leak, no rumors, just your guts. My gut feeling is that... This is my gut feeling. Like, wipe all the rumors and leaks away. Just what I think, excluding that. What I think is that now that Paper Mario the Origami King is out, there has to be an announcement really, really soon. Like, this week soon.
Very true.
It doesn't have to be Monday. It doesn't have to be tomorrow. But there has to be something, like, before the end of the month, and I would bet this week at this point, because Origami King is already out there. Not to mention, Nintendo has on multiple occasions told their investors that the 2020 plans have not been delayed yet. They have not revealed them yet, and they are subject to delays if the pandemic doesn't start to impact other things. But at this stage, as of the beginning of this month, with their most recent statement, Nintendo's 2020 plans or software release plans have not been delayed yet. So, given that, assuming they're not lying, and that there's no known published Nintendo games to be coming out this year yet, I gotta think an announcement is right around the corner. So, I think there's a really good chance we're gonna find out about something really soon.
We're gonna know.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally think it would be a mistake if this Thursday Microsoft has their big first party, their own Direct kind of deal, and they talk about Halo and it's all over the news, and Nintendo's just sitting there with nothing for, announced for the holidays, where Sony already has Spider-Man and Microsoft already has at least Halo, So I think Nintendo needs to show what they got, especially since the other competition also have two brand new systems. So
let me throw something at you guys. There has been like some speculation going around recently that there might be some sort of Microsoft announcement during this potential Nintendo Direct, because there's this he used to go by King Zell. I think it's on like C Subasa now on Reset Era. He said something about I don't remember exactly what it was, but basically he says something about the Direct and Mario information coming, and I think he had like bolded like M and S in like this statement, and it was a weird way to like put an M and S that were separate from each other in separate words. So people were thinking, oh, MS, what does that mean? Does MS mean like something from Microsoft? Or there was also like some sort of trademark made for, or something came up for Mario Sports, which I think is also a decent chance. Maybe there could be a Mario Sports title announced.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely possible.
But
could be a new Strikers or something.
Please give us Mario Strikers. That would be so good.
If we get anything more Mario announced other than these, these
MS
rumors,
could be Mario Sunshine.
Yeah, it could.
Maybe. Yeah.
Like, it's
It also could be just a typo.
yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be some sort of tease. So
It could also be literally a tease where he's like, "What would make everyone go crazy?" And I could sit here and laugh forever. Oh, I know. I'll just capitalize these 2 letters and have them go nuts. Boom. Problem solved.
Yeah, that is definitely possible.
But what do you guys think are the odds that there's something big from Microsoft in this Nintendo Direct?
Very little. Very, very low in my opinion.
Okay.
I don't see anything. Because really what they'd be sending over would be something like more Minecraft, which not happening. They could announce that xCloud was going to come to Switch. Can't happen until they announce it for their own system, which is, I believe, coming on Thursday. They're going to talk about it.
Yeah, they already announced that they're rolling it into Game Pass and such.
Yeah, so until they announce it, they can't announce anything like that. So if it is anything, it'd be some indie announcement. Now, also, the only other thing that you could make the argument for is that Microsoft has acquired a whole bunch of new studios, and any of those studios working on something that was coming to the Switch will still have that game coming to the Switch. That is about as far as that's going to go for Microsoft, in my opinion.
Pretty much the only possibility I see.
I'm going to continue to dream for Rare Replay.
I just don't see Nintendo and Microsoft working together right now. Seems like a bad time.
Yeah.
It's a very odd now Microsoft is really open to working with other people and not like trying to corner the market and everything, but it seems like a bad idea as you're trying to launch your new generation, your new cloud streaming service, all this stuff, to
especially if it's like the week of the
Nintendo.
Presentation. Yeah.
It's and before their presentation, it doesn't make sense to me.
So I think at some point we could get some more Microsoft published games on Switch, and maybe that could include the Long Run Master Chief Collection or Rare Replay, but I do not expect that in this particular Direct, especially with, as you guys pointed out, there's a whole bunch of Xbox stuff happening this year. Maybe I'll hold off on that. Yeah.
I could see it next year. I could see it in 6 months. I don't see it this week.
I also definitely, if we ever do get the Master Chief Collection, I think it would 100% be after everything's already made its way to the PC. I think once they're done porting that to the PC, that's when they'll start working on the Switch version, if they are going.
Yeah. We are getting Crysis, though, on the
That is true.
first-person shooters.
And I mean, for the Nintendo Switch spec, like, that, it looks really good.
I'm kind of want to get it. So
I've never played Crysis, so I don't know. I'll probably get on PC, but still.
Yeah, does it come out the 23rd? Or is it already out? And I'm just mistaken.
It's out soon. Is it tomorrow? Maybe even.
Like really soon, right?
It's very soon. It's a couple days, I think. 20 something.
It came out November 13th, 2007. I'm just kidding. That's
very useful.
That is the initial release date when the game originally came out.
It's insane that the game came out in 2007. It still looks as good as it does. The remake or the remaster does add some stuff, but like the original PC version still looks really good. I mean, if you compare it to the Xbox 360 version, the Switch version,
it is coming out the 23rd.
A billion times better, though. Like the Xbox 360 version barely even ran. Period. So
now I'm kind of excited about this. I want to. It's not even that expensive. It's only $30. Oh, you know what?
Wow. That's nice.
I'm going in on this.
The Switch version, personally, I'm really just interested to see like what they could pull off. Like, even in the PC like realm, it's always been like, can you run Crysis? Can your thousands of dollars of gaming PC run Crysis? Like, back in the day,
this game
ridiculous, right?
I mean, you know,
I'm curious how it's gonna look compared to the original on.
I'm like looking at the Nintendo
machine.
website right now, and I'm not looking at footage, just like screenshots, and I mean it looks like something I'd pay $30 for.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm interested in this. But going back to the chat here. All right, so Caleb of 5 Stars Entertainment added me. Another reason for the Smash announcement incoming is the new tab has been removed off the fighter tab on the website. In past occurrences, this has meant a fighter is coming soon. So I'm not going to 100% assume that means it's going to happen, but yeah, I have also noted that. I do think that perhaps increases the likelihood a little bit, does make me feel a little bit more confident that perhaps a Smash announcement is right around the corner, like tomorrow. So I agree. I think that could mean something, but we'll see. Polodonna Palace. Oh man, the chat just updated. I couldn't get to see your comment. I was just about to read it. I missed it. Where'd it go? Okay, there it is. I found it. I will think that Arlie will be revealed thanks to the rumors and the colors behind the 5 DLC characters resembling the Puyos in the game. Well, all right, that'd be interesting to see. So maybe that could happen. A lot of people have been asking for some Puyo representation.
Puyo. Oh god.
DE Fox. I own and have beaten the first 2 games numerous times, and I love the Origami King. It's fun, good in a different way, and a great game in its own right. And I think you went into it with a healthy mindset. Like, if you are okay, if you're not looking for an RPG experience, and for the record, I'm not trying to say that if you want the traditional Paper Mario that you're wrong, but I think in order to enjoy Origami King, you do have to go into it with an open mind. And it is a pretty good game. On its own, standing on its own, it's a pretty good game. If you had this expectation of what it used to be and it's not that, then yeah, you may find yourself disappointed because it isn't Thousand Year Door. It's something different. Moving on here. Let's see. Are we catching up? No. Discount link. How would a new Kid Icarus compare to bigger first-party games? Ooh, that's a tough question because I don't know what kind of budget they would put behind it. I would compare it to something like, actually, now that I think about it, like Astral Chain. Like, maybe it could be like a nice quality 15 to 20 hour campaign and they put in a nice, fun multiplayer mode. I think they could pull that off.
Yeah, something like it's like 20, 30 hours if you want to get like everything.
Wait. Brandon Juarez, they just announced the direct. Check Twitter. No.
No.
I have my notifications on, so I didn't see that. Maybe in 40 minutes.
Nothing.
Yeah. Unless
you
you
look
live
underneath
in
it, a couple people call them out.
No. You got me. But
yeah,
maybe in a little bit.
It's on Twitter right now. I'm refreshing it every now and again just to see.
According to rumor, it's midnight. So, it's not midnight yet.
45 minutes from now?
Yeah.
47 minutes?
Yeah. And again, guys, as much as I want it to happen, just keep in mind it might not happen. It might not be announced. It might be shadow dropped. It might be later in the week. So let's just not assume it's going to happen, all right? As exciting as it may be, it may not happen. Captain Rex.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm having to hold back my excitement. Be like, no, it's not for sure.
Right.
I'm gonna rein myself in.
They've changed it enough, and it keeps updating it. No, the announcement is coming. It's coming. It's gonna happen. No, it's coming. That's enough for me. I can safely sit here and assume it's not happening, and just kind of hope it does.
I'll argue that from the insiders, they never told us when it would be announced. So it wasn't. People started assuming that Friday made sense, but there wasn't like a leaker that was like, "Hey, it's gonna be on Friday." Just so you see, that hasn't happened from what I can tell.
Yeah, but I'm just, Nintendo is my favorite of the three. Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo. Nintendo's definitely the highest for me personally, but
or Google Stadia.
Gotta be honest, they gotta. Google Stadia. There you go, the true number one. They gotta show me something that makes me not want to be a huge Sony pony this fall.
I gotta tell you,
this winter.
if it wasn't for my strong Nintendo bias, and that also because I wanted to talk about Paper Mario for the channel, I might have gone with Ghost of Tsushima first. I bought Paper Mario: The Origami King, but I was like, I kind of want Ghost of Tsushima.
The only reason I didn't get Ghost of Tsushima as well is because I don't have a PlayStation 4. I'm waiting to get a PlayStation 5, and then since it's gonna be backwards compatible, hopefully with that game, from what I understand, it should be fine. Then I'll just play it then.
I'm going to be doing another upgrade on my computer, and I will be getting Games Pass.
I have Games Pass on my computer. I got a 2070 Super and an i9 9900K. So it's a pretty beast rig.
I'm just kind of waiting to see what sort of specs I legitimately need, so I don't spend money I don't have to.
True.
But it's coming.
Yeah.
I don't play that many games on my PC. My PC's decent though.
I play most of my games on PC nowadays. I gotta admit.
I don't know, maybe I have to
Switch
change
is
my chair. I just don't
days.
like sitting down here for extended periods of time gaming. Like I'd rather
This
sit
is
on a
where I
couch or a
sit to
bed.
game. Even if I play my Switch, I don't sit in my bed.
Same monitor does PC gaming and Switch.
I don't have a TV. I was thinking about getting one to play like consoles on.
Mm-hmm.
But nah, not right.
Esports monitor.
So Captain Rex added me. I think Pikmin will sell better as a trilogy than Pikmin 3 Deluxe. I don't think you're wrong. I think you're right. I just don't know if Nintendo's gonna do that. But yeah, if there was a Pikmin
that's
trilogy,
just kind of like 3 games for $60 would sell better than 1 game for $60. Like,
yes, but at the same time, though, I think Pikmin 3 Deluxe could come with a fair bit new content in there with some visual upgrades and some nice quality of life changes. So it might be a nice little package, you know? So I think by focusing on it being just one game, it does suggest that there will be more done to improve that one particular game as opposed to it being a collection. But I also agree with the idea that, hey, if there was a trilogy, it would have more sales potential. I agree.
I do think the first and second game are more highly regarded than the third one, though. I give it where they're coming.
Yeah, but I'll also say that just Pikmin 3 was a pretty good game, and Wii U just was not the right place for games to succeed.
No.
So that's why a lot of Wii ports have really make sense.
No, I agree, yeah.
So Birdman added me. I wonder if Call of Duty is going to say anything because as of now, there's no COD for this year. Maybe tomorrow for the Direct. I don't know. I do not.
Call of Duty.
Is there any Call of Duty? Well, COD, so I assume Call of Duty.
Yeah, Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Right now, I'll tell you right now, Warzone runs like pure trash on PC.
That's good.
Does it?
Absolute trash on PC. It has
rig?
Well, I am a lower powered rig, but it does not run well. And after the last update, they've been having a ton of issues. In order to run it, I have to change its CPU priority so that it doesn't shut off my VC in Discord because it just consumes a ton of CPU power. And so if they're having trouble actually getting it ported CPU power wise, I would not expect it to be ported to the Switch because they are they're in line, but they are slightly weaker. And if they're having problems porting it to PC, which is same architecture, I think they're gonna have a lot more problems porting it to a different architecture with less power. Now they could do something different. I don't think they will, and I think they're gonna focus more rather than trying to downport it to Switch. I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna focus on PC, Xbox, PlayStation,
and
Google
then Stadia,
and next gen. I think rather than putting the effort into Switch, I think what they're going to do is they're going to put the effort into making it look really good on next gen.
I should create a new YouTube channel.
I don't think
that's all about Google Stadia.
I don't think Activision has any
7 viewers
want to put a Call of Duty on the Switch.
if they do it, it's going to be like back in the GameCube days where it's a different game.
Yeah, I feel like their engine is a bit too advanced for the Switch to handle in a capacity to where it's going to be the same game. Like, I don't think that they could get the same game running on Nintendo Switch in a playable form that's up to par with what you should expect from a game in 2020, even if it is on the Switch.
I don't know. I think for them, a lot of their games, they sell them on it's Call of Duty and it looks great and it plays great. And it's kind of hard to sell it on look how amazing it looks when you have your 4K version and your 720/30 version.
You think the game would run at 720p?
Stock 720p, 30 frames a second.
I assure you, if they did the game, it'd be like 540p.
And again, why would they do it? That's again, like it doesn't, like my PC struggles to run it. It's the first game it struggled to run in a long time. I don't see them downporting to Switch. That's just the way I see it. I don't see the need for it. I don't see the desire for it, and I feel like if they want to put the energy into something else, it's 100% going to be next gen.
Yeah. I'm just. They haven't been doing Call of Duty on Switch, so I'm not expecting it.
I wouldn't.
Yeah. So a couple more questions here. The Joker. Would you expect something random, Kirby, Donkey Kong, etc.? I think there's got to be something tomorrow, assuming it's real, of course. That is there's got to be something else. There's got to be some other Nintendo game. I think. I think it can't just be Mario and Pikmin 3 Deluxe. There's got to be more than that. So maybe it's Donkey Kong, maybe it's Kirby, maybe it's Splatoon, maybe it's F-Zero, maybe it's Kid Icarus. Like, there's a lot of other Nintendo franchises that could get some attention here. So maybe. What'd you say?
And third parties.
Yeah, third party stuff as well. Now, I guess like they could get away with like Pikmin 3 Deluxe, 2D Metroid, Mario, and Bravely Default 2. They could get away with that. And maybe they could throw in like
I don't think that's a lineup that would detract or that would like distract anybody from the PlayStation 5 or the Series X.
But maybe they're not in a position to distract them.
I guess.
You know?
That's possible. They could just not have the games.
Yeah,
but I feel like they gotta have something.
I don't know.
Even just one game.
To distract, I don't know if you would go in front of Microsoft in the same week. If you really thought you could distract and pull eyes, I don't know if you'd go in front of Microsoft. And I almost feel like that's more of getting your information out there and then sort of like get it out early so people know it, and that's all their mind is on when they get it, versus their mind's on Microsoft and what they just did, and now you announce, and well, it didn't sway me, so whatever. I don't know. It just seems like a weaker style of announcement. And now it is hard.
I feel like they either have something that's going to convince fans to like play the Nintendo Switch this holiday, or they don't. It's one or the other. Like in my opinion. So if they announce before or after, I don't think it matters. I think as long as they have something to give a reason for somebody to. Honestly, I don't think unless they have Zelda that they're gonna have a reason for anybody to buy a Switch instead of the next gen systems, other than just purely it's less expensive. They have to have something that I think the best we can really hope for, unless they have like Zelda, is just something to keep people like playing the Switch, or people who don't care about the next gen systems to buy one, or somebody buys both. I don't think there really is a situation here where people are gonna buy a Switch instead of the next gen systems, unless it's just pure I can't afford it.
I don't feel, if you're looking at next gen systems, I feel like you're looking at them for the excitement of the new technology versus the handheld or anything like that.
Right now, I'm just refreshing like different like pages just to see if something comes up from any of the potential leakers. Nothing's come up, just for the record. Moving on with the questions here. So I'm gonna try and like speed through this, and then we'll like jump back into the thick of the discussion. So, the Joker. I already addressed your comment in reference to potential other Nintendo franchises. D.E. Fox. How about the first 2 Paper Mario games on Switch? There's a lot of demand for that. I definitely don't think that's coming out this year, but you know, maybe they could at some point bring those over. I'll bring up that, you know, September is around the time that Nintendo online subscriptions end, right? So they got to be renewed. So there's that possibility that maybe Nintendo does something to make Nintendo Online better. So what I'm getting at is that maybe they do finally introduce N64 games. That would definitely do it. It just seems like I'm not like confident about predicting that for this year, only because it just seems like kind of really good, and Nintendo's been very... Brandon, I can't hear you. I don't know if you're muted.
I accidentally muted myself.
Oh.
My bad. What I was saying is, I don't think that would be announced at this Direct.
Yeah, that usually happens in September
Direct.
Direct.
Be, yeah, September Direct, or even just like sometime in September, just a trailer or something.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll talk about this Direct.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels a little. Does it not feel a little too good for what Nintendo Switch Online is?
Well,
I don't know.
It's kind of mean to
Not
say,
really.
but like is the NES emulator multiplayer even working yet? They haven't
Yeah, it
done any
works.
updates. Multiplayer without lag?
I don't use it.
I've used it, but my internet connection was really bad, so the lag was really bad. So I can't say if like I have a good connection. I don't know if it works well.
We have at least
'Cause
heard
I've only
that...
used it with a bad connection.
They haven't updated it to my understanding, and even in low latency mode, there was delay long enough that neither of us could tell who was playing Mario. So
I don't know. My issues
It worked
weren't
alright.
that. My issues weren't even that bad. My internet was literally like the worst connection ever.
like
It was
it
horrible. And it worked
30 seconds,
well
and
enough.
then all of a sudden it's so bad. Like you hit a button, there was literally like a 4-second delay on the jump,
Yeah. It would be like that.
and that was putting it into low latency mode.
So
I don't know, man.
Just want to point out that we did get reports back in May of this year. I want to point out that back in May of this year, we got reports that Nintendo has said that they're trying to increase the appeal of the Switch Online service. One way to increase that appeal would be to add in 64 games. That would be significant. So, you know, that's one way to go about doing it. Maybe just
Last
adding...
year they kind of tried it to push it with Tetris 99, so it's not like they're not doing anything with it. They had SNES games and Tetris 99, and they're doing stuff to try to make that part of the online worth it. I feel like they've been doing a pretty good job actually with the NES and SNES games on the Switch. I think they're really well done, and so I don't think, like, obviously the online aspect of online has been terrible, as it always has been, but the kind of like Nintendo Classic Games section, you know, that's actually been good. I think that's been done really well, so I don't think it's too much to expect that they would add N64 games eventually. Maybe not this year, but eventually.
I don't know. I question it, seeing as the NES and SNES emulators are the classic minis. So it was something they already had for a physical product. It's something they were just reusing it, versus N64. Now they have to create it, and I don't know how far maybe they were working on one and decided not to do the mini anyways. They had the emulator, but they were reusing it for the NSO. So
Yeah,
I personally
but
don't get credit for that, just reusing something.
they still have a lot of experience making those emulators, though, so I don't think it'd be that big of a deal for them to make an N64 emulator. I mean, they've done N64 emulators in the past. Obviously, the ones that are with the NES and the SNES on the Switch and the Classic are way better than their previous emulators, but they've shown that they can make emulators very, very competently. They have made emulators that are better than the emulators people have been working on for like 20, 30 years. So.
I want to take this conversation in an interesting direction. So, I know you're talking about emulators, but so have you guys been paying attention to like all the Unreal or like the Mario 64 modification since they got like that coding? Like there's been a lot of like footage going out there about Mario 64 enhancements. Like, how do you think that'll? Let me pull up. I'll put up a trailer then, or some footage here.
Yeah, I know it's been happening. I just haven't looked into it.
Everybody in the chat's just counting down till the supposed.
Oh my god, guys! If it doesn't happen, I'm telling you, this is just a rumor. You know, like don't
keep expectations down, guys.
Right, like, yeah. Keep your expectations down. As hard as that may be.
Once it gets announced, that's when we can be hyped. But until then,
yeah,
keep it on the DL.
All right, so I'm gonna show you guys like this footage here. Let me see if this will. There we go. So this is on the Unreal channel. You guys can see the Mario. Oh, if the Mario model was like this, I'd be really excited. If it looked like that.
I don't see it yet, but I hope you're not showing me something that's like some kind of like fan-made Unreal Engine 4 or something like that.
It is.
I see it now.
Well, no, it's taking Mario 64 and like reworking it.
Okay. I don't like that model, I'm gonna be honest.
Well, imagine something like of that style, but a little bit better looking.
But if they based the model off of like that, like model that they use in the beginning of the game that you can like move around and stuff, it looks like just a texture pack for Mario 64.
It's more than a texture pack. You can tell me that Yoshi does not is like it's just.
Well,
a texture
I haven't seen this
enhancement?
Yoshi yet.
Okay.
I'm on the canon section, by the way. If you want to get an idea of the latency there. He just jumped onto the roof. I mean, yeah, it looks good.
It looks like there's like new models.
I don't know, man. It looks like almost. It looks really unpolished. Is the thing. Like you can really tell this is fan-made. It looks like a cheap Flash game. Almost.
I'm gonna
they really need to fix the lighting
on the podcast. But yeah, so you can check it out. It's on Unreal, guys. But I'm not saying it has
the
to
lighting
look
needs
exactly
to be
that,
fixed.
But I like that
Why did they
concept though. Like redone textures, new models. Like you do all that with some slightly better lighting and obviously better just polish. That wouldn't be like a super dramatic change, but it would be enough to perhaps make the game look fairly good. Like good enough.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be like a polished version of that would be okay enough for me. I would want them to like go way farther than that for Mario 64 and like not really, but honestly what I want is them to just go real ham with Mario 64 and then just like barely update Galaxy and Sunshine because they don't really need it. Just like slap those into HD and you know, maybe if you have some better textures lying around, use those. You know, I wouldn't actually be too surprised if they have HD assets for Galaxy still like there from when they made the game. So I wouldn't be too surprised if they could use some like the original high resolution assets for the remaster. But anyways, I'm getting distracted. The point is, I hope they do a lot for Mario 64 and not a lot for Galaxy and Sunshine because they would look fine with a simple like Wind Waker style enhancement. Mario 64, even that is still like, doesn't look that good. I do kind of like how it keeps like the art style, but it wouldn't be like what I really want.
I would like to see it with a full redone. Like really bring up 64.
So, but what are your guys' expectations though? Like, do you think it's gonna be better than what I showed off? Less? Is it gonna basically just be Mario 64 upscaled, or is it gonna be with like some new models and textures, or is it gonna be like in the Odyssey engine? Like, where on the spectrum here are we talking about remaster? Because apparently now remaster means anything you want it to be.
Right.
I would like to see it remade in the Odyssey engine.
But do you think that's what's going to happen?
I don't know, but I feel like if it would be the one that needs it.
Okay.
You know, if they do it. I don't know if they do it. I feel like they'd have to do it in the Odyssey engine if they were going to remake it. The other ones they would port and upscale. 64 would need a remake. They're not going to port and upscale and make that actually look good. So I feel like that would be done in the Odyssey engine, and there's no reason to do it in a different engine because the Odyssey engine is there. It works just fine and it looks really good. Yeah. So that's my expectation.
It's definitely the smallest of the 3 games, so I think it'd be the easiest to remake. I don't know if... I mean, I think they could definitely use the Odyssey engine. I just don't know if it will look as good as Odyssey, because I don't think it'll have the... Obviously, it won't have the budget of Odyssey, but
yeah.
I think it could be using that engine,
yeah.
They have assets they can reuse directly from Odyssey. They probably have older assets too that are still reusable.
Yeah, I mean, they have the 64 section of Odyssey where they could take some assets from that. Obviously, it's a completely different layout than the actual game, but they could still use those models as a basis.
It's just interesting because we kind of have an idea of how Sunshine and Galaxy will look, right? Like, you just kind of look at how those games look on Dolphin, and that's, like, good enough, you know? I think for Sunshine, you have to maybe, like, fix up, like, Mario's model a little bit, or... There's a couple more adjustments they need to do for Sunshine as opposed to Galaxy, but it's nothing like super significant.
I don't even think they have to do those changes, honestly. Like, I feel like the GameCube was kind of that era where things started aging better.
Yeah, it does. I think it needs like enhanced textures, but besides that, it's almost fine.
Galaxy, even most of its textures hold up fine enough because it's just art style. Yeah. There's some textures that are like, ooh, that doesn't look good. But for the most part, they're just kind of like, okay. I think it would be great if they had like high resolution versions they could swap out. But I mean, it doesn't even look that bad. Even just straight in Dolphin with the normal textures.
Yeah. Yeah. I really want to like catch up on the chat here because there's been so much. So I'm gonna do like a quick run through. Because there's a lot of ads here and I want to kind of get to it. The Joker. I want Kazoo back on for another podcast. Absolutely. Kazoo is great, so always love to have her on. Ronnie Fazio. Sega better than Google Stadia. Oh, you're 100% right. Sega is amazing. They have great franchises. They had some great systems. They just... Well, that's a whole other discussion, but yeah, Sega...
They just made some really terrible business decisions.
Yeah, that's a great way to sum it up.
There was a lot of content made of their mistakes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dissy EX, you mentioned you wouldn't want to see Metro Samus Returns ported to Switch out of curiosity. Why so? I've always felt that it could have sold a bit more if it didn't drop on 3DS.
It would have sold so much more.
Well, I totally agree with that. And I don't. So. It's more a selfish reason. It's just mostly because Samus Returns, I played through it not till back in 2017. Like during the Switch era, I bought and played it. Like I already had a Switch and I bought and played through Metro Samus Returns. So I just feel like it's kind of really recent for me. Like I think they passed that window to give it like an HD port of it. Granted, I mean, we're getting Wii U ports all the time, left and right. Now, they added new content to it, I guess, but at the same time, it's also already a remake, you know? It's not like a new game. Yeah. It's a remake already. So that's why I'm kind of... If they were to pick... I would prefer they pick another 3DS game to be, like, get that HD treatment like Kid Icarus. Yeah.
At this point, the amount of work it would take to make that game into like a competent Switch game, at that point you could just make a different, like make a Metroid Fusion remake or something, or Metroid 5. Like there's no reason.
Yeah, and there's a reason to believe the Samus Returns team, Mercury's team, has been working on a Metroid game. So my fingers are crossed for either Metroid 5, like you said, Brandon, or Metroid Fusion remake. One of those two I would like to see. So, and that's really it. Like I would be like, oh, really? We're getting Samus Returns port when we could have gone 2D Metroid? So
just make
but,
something groundable for the Switch. There's no need to try to port the game that didn't really do
and
that
just to
well
be clear, like if tomorrow they announce a Metroid Samus Returns HD, I'll at least be excited to see how it looks. So,
I mean, I haven't played the game, so I'd be excited to buy it. I just like purely business. I think they could sell more, like a Fusion remake, instead of a remake that we just got a few years back.
Yeah. But moving on though, because I am trying to catch up with the chat here. Armchair analysis. I want my boy OJ from Player Essence as a guest on your podcast one of these days. Yeah, I would love to have OJ on at some point. OJ's definitely, a cool YouTuber. I would think we would have a really good discussion. He has some very interesting points. And I'll say one cool thing about OJ, he's not afraid to get into debates, which I'm totally for. So, yeah, maybe someday he could be on. That would be great. Discount link. How far in the future will the possible direct take us? Like, when will the last game that was announced drop? My personal expectation is if it's a main Nintendo Direct. Because if it's a Direct Mini, I'm thinking like games up to September or early October. If it's like a bigger Nintendo Direct, not until like... if it's a big Nintendo Direct, I'm expecting like throughout 2020. Maybe they bring up one or two things that are for in 2021. But that's it. I think maybe later into the year we get another direct outline early 2021.
I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw stuff for early 2021. I mean, June, it's even like a typical year back in June, we'd see like a couple different 2021 games. So by this time of the year, we should know about a couple. So it would make sense that if there's a mainline, not a mini direct, like an actual direct, that we would see something for 2021 as well.
Yeah.
Feel like we'd get up to January, and after that they would simply just drop a trailer if it was something coming in, because after that you're getting into a slow season anyways. So they would do the holiday lineup, possibly drop a game from January, and they might show a trailer for one of the big games that's coming next year or the year after.
Like, for example, let's say Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out 2021. They could give us a teaser at the end of the direct, and it'll say coming 2021. Like, that could happen.
Especially if it's coming like in the spring or something.
Yeah, which would then make me wonder what's coming out holiday 2021. But so
it'd be really nice if they were kind of like, we're just gonna drop this March 3rd. I'd be happy.
Imagine a Metroid Prime 4 Zelda 1-2 punch, 1-2-3 punch with Mario. That's pipe dream. So
I highly doubt it would ever happen, but that still would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Let's not forget Bayonetta 3 has to come out at some point. So
yep,
that's a pretty big game. So
it's not too crazy to think that next year we could get Breath of the Wild 2 and Mario Odyssey 2.
Imagine a world where we
insane.
get Mario Odyssey 2, Breath of the Wild 2, Bayonetta 3, and Metroid Prime 4 all within a year of each other.
Now that I think is insane, because I don't think Metroid Prime 4 is coming out next year. But
based off the hirings, it's like
to the point where that is a possibility. I doubt it, but it is a possibility.
I think it's possible, but it's just I don't like when people see hirings and they assume that they're just getting started, because hirings happen all throughout development. But based on some of the hirings we've seen, it feels like some of these people have a lot of creative input. So like the Call of Duty guy, he's like supposed to be like the lead engineer on some aspects for this particular game. So I do feel like they're still like kind of early-ish on in Metroid Prime 4 at this stage. I hope I'm wrong.
I can see them being at a near halfway or something.
Yeah, like I don't think it's out of the question it comes out holiday next year. It's just at first I was thinking it, but now
it's a 2022 holiday game.
I mean, at first I was thinking it was possible, but now I'm kind of my expectations for when the games are coming out has moved back a little bit. So we'll see.
You also have to look at what else is going to be coming out next year and what else is in line for coming out. I would be really surprised if Breath of the Wild 2 comes out after Metroid Prime 4.
I think another important thing to note is that we still haven't gotten any Metroid announcements yet. Like, maybe one is announced tomorrow. But I think we all agree that Prime Trilogy has to come out before Metroid Prime 4. So if we haven't even gotten an announcement for Metroid Prime Trilogy, like, I think Metroid Prime Trilogy would have to come out this year, or like really, really early next year for Metroid Prime 4 to make sense as a holiday 2021 title. I'm thinking Prime Trilogy comes out next year, and then Prime 4 afterwards, but, you know.
I've said mine so many times. Prime 4 is going to be in the year. Trilogy's early in the year to hype up for Prime 4 in the holiday. So basically, whenever I see Prime Trilogy come out, I'm assuming 4 is holiday.
I think they'll be a year apart. I think they'll be separated by a year. I don't think they'll be in the same year. I think it's too much game.
Yep.
Trilogy of these, and then that year you also get the full new game. Seems a little bit too much for me personally.
Yep. So, just continuing on with the chat here. Ben Mott, I feel they should have a DK game next year because it's the 40th anniversary. So, here's my thing with anniversaries. I am all for them celebrating them, but I just think that if we make a lot of predictions based solely off anniversaries, we're going to get a lot of things wrong because they're not going to curb development for a game for an anniversary. Like, for example, like, let's say 2 or 3 years ago, they were like, hey, so the 40th anniversary for Donkey Kong's in 2021. So let's start developing a game now so it can come out then. I don't think that's what happens. Now, if it lines up that way, for sure. Could they do some sort of like remaster or ports of older Donkey Kong games for the anniversary? Maybe that. But as in terms of like a full-blown new Donkey Kong game solely for the 40th anniversary, I'm not expecting that.
Let's be honest here. Like 95% of the time, Nintendo does basically nothing for their anniversaries. So
all companies do next to nothing.
Yeah.
Again, Capcom with a plush, like it.
Anniversaries are not big deals. They never have been.
They'll point out the anniversary. They'll make a big deal of it, but game development is something that takes so long. There's so many moving parts. I feel like unless you're going to make the game and plan to sit on it, which Nintendo can do, they're willing to do it, but generally that's a no, especially for a major one where you would want. Like, how long are they going to sit on Breath of the Wild 2? How long did they sit on Breath of the Wild? Like, they were literally talking beforehand. It's either going to make launch or it's going to be pushed back to holiday. Like, that's how long they were going to sit on it, and they pushed it for launch. So good they did, but either way, like how much money are you going to sit there tied up, sitting, waiting for just to have that announcement? Whereas if they do a merchandise, some sort of collector's edition, music soundtrack thing, you put it out there, they've still done something for the anniversary. It's just, it's not a game, and it's something that's a whole lot cheaper and a whole lot easier to time out.
Yeah.
That all said, that doesn't mean I don't think Donkey Kong can't happen. Like, of all the Nintendo franchises to like make a new game for, besides like the big ones like Splatoon, Pokemon, Mario, Zelda, like Donkey Kong makes a lot of sense. Like, it makes more sense than Kid Icarus and My Precious F-Zero, and even Metroid to some extent, because Donkey Kong has a very strong sales history. So given that, I do feel like we're gonna see a new Donkey Kong game on Switch at some point. Is it gonna be like Donkey Kong Country? Is it gonna be like a 3D Donkey Kong game? I'll take either. I'll be really hyped for a 3D Donkey Kong game because we haven't gotten that since Donkey Kong 64. But either way, I'll be excited about it. And I'll also just point out that I'm totally on Team King K. Rool coming back. So
hell yeah.
Yeah. I hope it happens, but I'm not gonna expect it because of the 40th anniversary. But you know, I think at some point we should get a Donkey Kong game, though. Yeah.
Again, it comes back to like keeping our expectations in check. People always get excited over anniversaries, and nothing happens. Just like this, 35th anniversary of Mario. There's all this rumors coming out. I'm kind of 50-50 on it, but it's like, if nothing happens, if something does happen, like 35th, that's kind of a weird one to be like. That's the one we're going to celebrate.
Yeah.
But I mean,
in that case, you can do every 5 years. So what? Every game has a 5-year dev cycle, and then that's the 40th anniversary, the 45th anniversary. Like,
40th
Yeah.
So
Um,
it's hard to pick what they would actually celebrate and actually have it with the game. I feel like it's whenever it just sort of lines
Most
up.
of the time when companies do things for anniversaries, it's just, oh, that game happens to be done on the anniversary. Let's market it.
I'll also say though that like I'm also predicting to like go against what we're talking about. I'm predicting that the Mario collection, the remaster collection, is going to come out in September, which is the actual anniversary month for Mario. Now, because I think it's a little different because that's not a brand new game. That is it's a repurposed old games put together as a collection, and I'm not like predicting it to. For example, I didn't go into 2020 thinking, oh, the Mario remasters are going to happen this year because it's the 35th anniversary, but I do feel like September is kind of like a good window for that. If we look, we've sort of gone like the major releases like every other month this year, and September is the anniversary month, so I do feel like there's a pretty good chance that's going to happen. Also, if we go by VentureBeat, from their reports, we're supposed to hear about the remasters and Pikmin 3 and 3D World Deluxe really soon, and I felt like there was an implication that those will be coming out within the next couple months, so I do think September might be a good time for that. Moving on with the chat here, though. Medicine asked, do you think Hollow Knight Silksong and GTA 5 will be announced for Switch tomorrow? So first, I thought Silksong was already announced for Switch. Grand Theft Auto 5, that would be a megaton. I don't expect it, but if it happens, that would be huge.
Yeah, I really don't understand why it's not on Switch.
Because
it's not like it couldn't
Rockstar.
run. I feel like they could make it pretty easy. I mean, the game was an Xbox 360, PS3 title. It's not like
They
it's
could.
super
It's-
advanced. They just haven't. I feel like it could sell really well. I mean, it's the best-selling video game ever made, so it's like, might want to get that on there. Because before, everyone was like, oh, but they gotta get the bigger cartridges. It's like, yeah, but nobody uses those. They just use the smaller ones and then make you download the rest. So it's like, why don't? No difference here. Other companies do this all the time. We're no longer waiting for them to release the 64 gigabyte cards. They just put out the game. Doesn't matter how big it is. They just use smaller cards.
I mean, yeah.
Hopefully it means they're moving on to something else, though.
Right.
Finally.
GTA 5 has been rumored for Switch since like the Switch was announced.
Yeah, maybe it was something that was in the talks, but
Yep.
it just fell through. That's how I feel like it probably went down.
Yes. How does that fall through? How do you not get GTA 5 on Switch?
It's just
Like,
it's
how
the
hard
cartridge
could that
thing.
decision be?
Just
Maybe
because
they
don't wanna-
wanted something and Nintendo said no.
Yeah,
I guess.
We want special treatment. No, we're the biggest selling game.
I
Still
don't know.
yeah.
I feel like
I don't
that doesn't really. I don't know because the other ports didn't really ask for anything special either. Like, it's
Yeah.
on like everything.
yeah.
They can also sit back and make tons of. They keep selling, and every time it goes on sale, people rebuy it. So why spend money
Yeah, but you got.
when you can sit there and make money?
Mm-hmm.
But you can make more money.
Yeah.
Because
But they could also be working on a new project.
yeah.
That they could also just pay someone to port it over and then make that money
Yeah,
too.
There's
don't
not really a great excuse. Like there are excuses that are like, yeah, this is possible. None of them are good excuses.
Mm-hmm. So I want to point out that while I am not, as much as I want there to be an announcement in 6.5 minutes from now, do not expect it, guys. I know this is like one of those things where people are waiting. And if it doesn't happen, people are gonna be really upset. Like, just don't assume it's gonna happen. I hope.
I like
yeah.
how you put the half minute like a little kid. Like I'm 7.5.
Well, it's been 11:53 for a while, so, yeah. Now we'll see. I mean, we can stay live for 7 minutes, right? So,
Yeah.
Dumo, I know you said you have to go to work in the morning, but I'm assuming that you're staying up for this.
Might as well.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do like 5 minutes after midnight, and then I'm out.
Yeah. So we're gonna
Fair
bring the
enough.
discussion to a close. I haven't caught up with the chat yet, so I'm gonna just a quick run through, like really quick, and then we'll finish things up. So. Captain Rex, Donkey Kong 64 Switch will be great. What do you think about that? If we get Nintendo Online N64 games, Yes, absolutely. Trent Schmelling, what do you think about a new Kid Icarus game in the vein of Uprising? If they were to do, yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I would want. So I hope they would do that. Will they? I mean,
super exciting.
I don't know. I think someday we'll see Kid Icarus again. It's just kind of a question of when, like most unused Nintendo IP. So I got a super chat from No, but I'm not going to say what you said on stream. So, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Thank you. So let's see here. Medicine. They add... I hate how the chat just updates like randomly. So when I'm about to read something, it just like jumps up. So I kind of missed that. I was like about to read it. YouTube.
Okay. So medicine.
If they add N64 online, what's the point of Mario 64 in the Mario's collection? Great question. Well, I mean, if Mario 64 is greatly enhanced, then it's kind of like a separate thing. It would be a weird little thing to do, but I mean, based off the rumors, it kind of seems like the Mario remasters are a foregone conclusion. N64 Online though is not. So we shall see how that turns out.
Separate them by a year, make money off both.
Yeah. Beverly Carter, do you think it's about time we'll see a new Sonic game? It's been a while since Sonic Forces and Mania. You know, I was thinking about the other day. We got Sonic Colors and Sonic and the Secret Rings, and there's like another 3D Sonic game, and I'm pretty sure there was like a whole bunch of like 3D like exclusive Sonic games on the Nintendo Wii, and the Wii U at least got like Sonic Lost World. We haven't gotten like an exclusive Sonic game on Switch. I feel like we should get at least one exclusive Sonic game on Switch. So I hope we get that at some point. There have been a lot of like mumblings about a new Sonic game, not necessarily specifically just for Switch, but getting announced at some point in the future. I'm a big Sonic guy, so I'm all for a new 3D Sonic, and I loved Sonic Mania. I wouldn't be opposed to a 2D one either. What?
They just had the movie, so
right? So it makes sense to push a Sonic game. Yeah.
And the movie went over well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just trying to catch up with it on the chat here before midnight. I'm not sure I'll be able to do it. What if they released the games for N64? Would you think they will release games from the GameCube sometime later? Probably no. I think with GameCube games at that point, you just remaster them. I mean, if it happens, I'm happy for it. But also, you have the whole analog trigger issue. Like, there's just a lot of workarounds, and we may not even get N64. So if we get N64, then we get N64. And we'll see what happens after that. Eric Johnson, we need something on the level of Spyro and Crash remasters. We want that. I do not expect that. Nintendo just doesn't do that, so I do not expect it. Moving on, though, let's see. Johnny Joe, what do you think about Fire Emblem? Intelligent Systems said to have 2 games in development, maybe Fire Emblem remakes. Yeah, I mean, they've been... It wouldn't surprise me if a Fire Emblem remake is around the corner. I'd be for that. So, yeah, I think it can maybe happen. I'm not sure if we'll get an announcement this year on that, maybe next year. I think that makes more sense. We did have the DLC for Fire Emblem Three Houses not too long ago. So, I think, you know, gotta wait a little bit longer for an announcement on it, but I think there's a good chance it could happen. Moving on here. Okay, I think I'm pretty caught up. I see. Next
2 minutes to spare.
Well, almost caught up. No, there's just been a lot. All right, next. I hope the Nintendo Ninjas don't come for you for showing the Mario 64 PC footage. I mean, that video was a small clip of a video that's gotten tons of publicity, so I think it's fine. It also falls under fair use, so yeah. All right, so it is 11:58. I do not expect. Well, I don't know. Like, I want there to be an announcement. Don't get your hopes up, guys. Like, just don't do it. Like, even if it doesn't happen, like maybe there's a direct tomorrow and just shadow drop it. Like, don't expect it. Just don't. Like, they've never done a midnight direct before, so I would not. Just don't get your hopes up. Like, it's one of those things.
Also an awkward time.
It is such an awkward time. So I don't really, you know, like I want it to happen.
It's just so much easier to believe that a direct, like, a rumor that says a direct will be on Monday than it is to say like a rumor that a direct will be announced at such and such time for tomorrow, because it's a little bit too like specific. Like I feel like leakers don't
Prepare for the
typically
disappointment,
know that.
guys. We are less than 60 seconds away. So, yeah, Kelios did private his Twitter account. So, you know, yeah.
Oh no.
He did that
Good
before
sign.
he even talked about it on the Reset Era, though. So, it is now midnight, and I see no announcement.
I see an announcement.
No, it happened!
Holy
No, it happened!
shoot!
They did it!
Oh my
It
god!
happened! It's real!
Oh, partner showcase.
What is this? Come on.
Disappointment.
Hold
In
on.
a different sense.
Hold on.
A few updates on a small group of previous. Okay, I'll read the whole tweet. On 7/20 will debut the first Nintendo Direct Mini Partner Showcase, a series focused on titles from our development and publishing partners. We'll share a few updates on a small group of previously announced Nintendo Switch games. Check out the full video release at 7 a.m. Pacific time.
I'm gonna show it.
You were right on the time.
Wow,
there,
the
by
times
way.
are on. Wow.
Yeah.
It's real,
Wow,
my
that's-
friends. But it's not. It's like.
I do not expect to see like Zelda or Metroid.
No.
So,
or
yeah,
anything
this
here.
is
I don't
really-
think there's any first party here. Well, not
It's like,
not
why?
first party Nintendo only. It could be Nintendo IPs done by third parties.
So, but guys,
This-
this is actually really big. So, hear me out. I'm gonna read it again, and then I'm gonna talk about it. So, I'm trying to contain myself. All right. On July 20th, we'll debut the first Nintendo Direct Mini. Okay. Partner Showcase, a series focused on titles from our development and publishing partners. We'll share a few updates on a small group of previously announced Nintendo Switch games. Check out the full video release at 7 a.m. Pacific time. So here's the thing. This sounds like third-party stuff.
And
Yeah.
previously announced.
Right.
I expect to see stuff like Bravely Default 2, maybe Bayonetta 3, maybe Shin Megami Tensei if maybe it's ready
Oh
to show.
god, that would about time.
But they're calling it
Right.
a partner showcase. So this is
It
interesting.
really sounds
So-
third party, man.
So is this going to be like the beginning of discussions on Nintendo's 2020 plans? You know what I mean?
Sounds like it's again. We'll debut the first mini partner showcase, a series focused on titles from our development and publishing partners. So that
there's
sounds
be more of these.
No, but this might.
That-
But that doesn't mean that we're going to see more soon. What this could be
I think this just means that this is a new form of Nintendo.
It's a new
Direct.
format, exactly. This partner showcase could be like the directs that are for third-party partners, right?
Maybe that's how they're changing directs, because a
Yeah.
lot of third party stuff kind of gets shoved down by the Zeldas and the Marios and the
Yeah.
F-Zeros, if that was
Right.
Actually, I could see them doing is moving to direct for third party and dropping first party trailers.
I definitely don't think that'd be the best thing to do.
But I could see it happening.
I would like them to do. I don't know. In my mind, this kind of feels like what Microsoft did, is where they had their third-party presentation direct earlier, a couple months ago, and they're gonna have their first party now in July. Maybe Nintendo's doing their third-party stuff, and then next month we'll see.
Or
their
maybe next
first-party
week.
stuff.
Like, it doesn't even have
Yeah.
to be like.
That's true. At the end of this, we could get an announcement for another one.
Right.
I don't expect that. Don't expect that.
Well, if this is mostly third-party focus, because here's the thing: previously announced Nintendo Switch games, maybe that could encompass Nintendo games, but I mean, like Nintendo published games, but it could just mean previously announced third-party games. So we'll have to wait and see how this actually plans out. But it does seem like this is more focused on their partners, third-party partners. So, which
And it's kind of sucks because like I'm again like low expectations, but it's like this is previous, like nothing new here. That's basically what it's telling. No new game announcements.
This isn't what we need.
it's
Like,
not what we.
unless this is just the worst wording I've ever read in a tweet. This is not what we want. This is not what we need.
So one thing I'm curious if they're going to show off Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, which is coming out.
Yeah.
In
I think we're gonna see No More Heroes 3.
days.
No More Heroes 3.
Yep.
I don't know. I think there's a possibility that there could still be a Smash reveal if it's a third-party character. Otherwise, no.
I just feel like this isn't... Why this week? Why this direct this week? I feel like there's going to be tons of comparisons to the Microsoft event. Because it's days away.
Yeah,
days
well,
apart.
If this is just third-party stuff, then I think that
I don't think it's gonna hold up too well.
I think they'll just... If this is just third-party stuff, guys, I think that means there's another direct coming later. And I don't think that... My initial impressions, my fresh impressions right now is that that's not far off. It's like maybe a week or two off. That's my initial impressions right now based on what I'm seeing. That this is a partner showcase for third-party stuff, and then after that, once the Xbox stuff happens, then Nintendo will be like, all right, so here's our stuff.
I feel like they might drop something after, like on Friday, or they might do something next Tuesday. I feel like they have to start outlining their holiday lineup soon. My only thing is that they might be very timid to actually outline games that are more than a couple months away, just because of how things are in the world, and we are technically still waiting for a second wave to hit. So if they're worried about a second shutdown, they might be still silly, because they can literally say this is when it's coming. Oh, there's a shutdown. Sorry, it got pushed back. There's nothing we can do, and no one's going to go after them for that.
So here's an interesting thing, guys. The leakers were strongly implying Mario stuff. If this is truly third-party stuff, then that means the Mario stuff isn't going to be a part of this.
And it's previously announced.
See, the wording's so interesting, because if they only show third-party stuff, they wouldn't be wrong. I think. What'd you say, Dumo?
We'll share a few updates.
Is there any
previously announced?
Is there any?
It says that's.
They're really trying to dial back the hype here. There's like a small group of previously announced games. Like, they're really hammering on the point that this is not like typical Direct with an announcements for big.
It's like it has like multiple qualifiers. Nintendo Direct Mini Partner Showcase. Like, it's like two things to like sort of, hey, dial back your expectations. Hey, dial back your expectations more.
Okay,
so
I'm expecting to only see stuff that's announced, but technically it says all it says is we'll share a few updates on a small group of previously announced games. However, they're not saying that's all we're gonna do. They're just saying we will.
True.
Some.
I mean, they do word Nintendo Directs kind of strangely sometimes. Like, a lot of times they'll word it in a way that says like, oh, we're talking about Fire Emblem, or like they'll talk about a bunch of other stuff. That would be like the main thing they focus on.
Man,
I just don't think that's the case here, considering it's a mini showcase.
I don't see Mario, like, even though you can say, oh, well, Mario was produced by a third-party port company, it's like, yeah, but that's not really what you drop at a partner showcase. That sort of overshadows all the partners. It's like, oh yeah, partner showcase. Everyone's, yes, I'm gonna be in the partner showcase. By the way, Mario, well, no one saw me. Like,
yeah. It's not an indie thing, though. So
apparently, it's only gonna be 10 minutes long.
Than that, but 10 minutes.
Also, someone said this basically confirms Breath of the Wild 2020. I don't see how, but if you could explain it,
how does
tell me.
Thinking.
Where are we getting this 10 minutes thing from?
A lot of people were saying in the chat. A lot of people.
What about 10 minutes?
There's nothing confirmed about that, though, that I've seen.
I don't know. But see, this is interesting though, because I think this actually bodes well for a strong Nintendo presentation, because if they could be separating it, right? Like, there could be the third-party presentation, and then later we get the Nintendo presentation. If they're two separate things, like, what if this week is just like Nintendo week, Because I know I saw Spawnwave say this is gonna be a fun week. I don't know if he had any inside information or if he was just referring to the Nintendo stuff now and then the Xbox presentation or anything like that.
Probably two big presentations from.
But like, it makes sense if this is
companies.
third-party stuff. It makes sense to have a other presentation of the Nintendo stuff. Now, how much longer do we wait for that though? I don't know. I mean, I guess for now we should just focus on this, and then the other stuff will come later. But because there seemed to be a strong belief that we get the Mario stuff like really soon, like this week soon. So where is that? Is this something?
Unless Bandai's making it,
huh?
Unless Bandai's the one making it. I mean,
I don't know. I think it's perfectly possible that people, got leaks of a direct and they didn't get told that it was a mini partner showcase, so they just assumed Mario would be there, so they put that in as speculation, but didn't say so.
Bits of information, and they're putting it together the best they can. They also can be given 100% accurate information and not be able to put it out 100% accurately because then their source will get caught. There's a lot of factors when it comes down to leaking. There's people who hear something in passing, then put a whole bunch of things together, and well, there's the leak, and sometimes they're right and sometimes they're wrong. But yeah, I'm not crazy excited, but I'm very interested to just what is a partner showcase?
Right? What is going to be here? Will Doom Eternal be there? Like, what are we expecting there?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'd like to see how that game runs on the Switch. I already have it on PC, but I'd love to see how it runs on the Switch.
I'm just looking forward to tomorrow because obviously, one, there could be some good stuff here, but two, based off the way it's being written, I'm not actually expecting too many first-party stuff. Like, I think, like the second-party stuff, like Bravely Default 2, like that I expect to see here. No More Heroes 3 I expect to see here. If there's a third-party Smash reveal, I think that could theoretically be here.
Bayonetta 3.
No, well, kinda, maybe.
I think Bayonetta 3 could be shown. I feel like it could be done. Right now. It might have been planned to show at like E3 or something.
I don't know.
It's been so long since announcement. You assume they gotta have something. It seems like a third-party focused direct. And
the argument I'm trying to make.
Third parties aren't usually like super great.
The argument I'm trying to make here is that this is preliminary. This is like the first of two shows. This is going to be a set. So we're going to get this, and then I don't know how much longer we'll have to wait, but not much longer. I feel like there's going to be another like first-party stuff, and I feel like Bayonetta 3 would be in that. If this is solely third-party, and that's the way I'm interpreting the wording here. So.
I don't know. They could do... Because they could use Bayonetta 3 to close this thing out in a big way.
It's just... I don't...
Yeah, they could use a game like that.
It's just I don't...
Huge games to close it out.
I guess when they use the wording partners, like that opens that up. Like, for example, Bravely Default 2, that could be in here because it's... Even though Nintendo's publishing it, that would still fall under that wording, you know? Bayonetta 3, I guess, technically, because they're paying Platinum Games to make it.
Platinum Games is making it.
Yeah, I guess
it's like Astro Chain.
If I remember correctly, they even refer to the indie developers that are doing games on their platform. They refer to them as partners as well.
They do. I don't think this will have indie games in it because
I think they do an indie showcase for that.
They have.
I like what Armchair Analysis is saying here. Nintendo's pulling an Xbox on us, revealing third-party stuff first and first-party later. That's what I'm sort of thinking.
This is what I said earlier.
Yeah, I mean, like I think we're in agreement. Like that's how it kind of feels. I guess right now I'm just debating: would Bayonetta be a part of that? It could conceivably, I suppose.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm kind of hoping that this is gonna be like the.
Oh wait.
Direct before the road direct.
The Joker said, "Wait, Metroid?" ? And I thought about it. Why? Metroid's first party, but the rumor or the speculation is that Mercury Steam is developing Metroid, the 2D Metroid. Mercury Steam is not a Nintendo developer. This is a collaboration, so that would fall under partner showcase, bruh.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're like pulling at what sort of Nintendo
Pull
stuff
at so
could we
many
see here?
straws. I'm gonna be honest. I think it's going to be a presentation where I see a bunch of games that I'm not going to buy on the Switch and be like, oh, cool.
What is
Okay.
Sega's working on F-Zero
Okay,
again?
I will. What if they have Shinin do an F-Zero?
I just feel like Shin was just working on a game for Switch that just released last year. So I don't think they are a big enough studio.
I think they would need some massive. We've talked about it. Like it would have to be a massive improvement, upgrade to the team size. So
they're really, really technologically.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know.
They just need more budget and people.
Yeah.
And Nintendo Publishing definitely does the budget. It doesn't fix the issue with bodies. However, if you have enough budget and if Monolith has any bodies free, that frees up a lot.
I don't know. They were just working on The Tourist, which was a big project for them. So I don't think they're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have options though.
It's true. I mean, it's possible that they got enough help from Monolith and maybe other companies as well that they had enough.
Unless you're telling me you have inside information, Dumo, I don't.
No.
So I just think they're too small.
I'm just throwing things out there, and especially if I can throw something out there that ties in F-Zero.
Like, but it doesn't have to be Shinin. Like the F-Zero GX was developed by Sega, so like,
ooh, yeah.
What if they do that again? You know, Nintendo and Sega do work together. Like they've had a strong relationship for years, actually. So that's in the cards, maybe. Of course, F-Zero doesn't have to be in the showcase. We're just talking about right now. We're just hoping for like Nintendo collaborations to get Nintendo games in this showcase. I think maybe there'll be a couple things. Maybe it could be Bayonetta 3. Maybe Bravely Default 2. No More Heroes 3 is like a shoo-in, just for the record. Like of all the predictions I'm gonna make for this, No More Heroes 3.
They've been teasing that game
100%
so hard over the last couple weeks.
Yeah. That's the one game I'm like, that's happening tomorrow. Yeah.
Do you think they
Doom
close
Eternal
it out with that, or
say it again?
Do you think they close it out with
I think it'll be somewhere in the middle.
One of those games like Doom Eternal, or are they gonna?
I think you got to close it out with a Switch
like
exclusive.
A new release.
Well, actually, no, they closed out a Direct Mini like a couple years ago with Dark Souls Remastered, so that would. I don't know.
I don't think they're gonna close with Travis.
No, mainly because it's already a known quantity. I think he wants them to kind of
Warriors.
surprise his fans, unless you don't have it. If you don't have it, then you don't have it. But it says mostly previously announced stuff. So No More Heroes 3, Doom Eternal, Bravely Default 2, maybe Bayonetta 3, maybe
Shin Megami Tensei.
Maybe Shin Megami Tensei 5. Yeah, right. Like maybe that's finally there, guys. If they had all that, that'd be pretty solid. You know?
Yeah.
And of course, I don't know how you guys know it's 10 minutes, but apparently it's 10 minutes. So.
Well, how long have past minis been? I feel like once you get past like
longer.
15, 20 minutes, you're looking at a full-size
The
direct.
last one was like 20 something. I feel like they're typically like 15.
So how do people know it's 10 minutes?
I don't know. People are just saying these things. According to Nintendo Japan, the Nintendo Direct Mini partner showcase is about 10 minutes long. I just read that on a tweet from Wario64.
Okay.
Mind of Christ Ministries, second party, Bayonetta, Metroid, F-Zero, No More Heroes 3, Bravely Default, Shin Megami Tensei are development partners.
So if you go to the Japanese Twitter account and you translate their tweet, it does say there will be a. Let's see. It says Nintendo Direct Mini Software Maker Lineup 2020. It's not translating the date properly, but 2020, July 7th, 20th, or July 20th. That introduces information on software maker titles that will be released today at, the time it's going to be to Japan. It'll be an archive video of about 10 minutes centered on the following report. Alright, so they say it's going to be an archive video that's 10 minutes long.
Okay.
So it won't be streamed, it'll be 10 minutes, but it's dropping, tomorrow
Yeah, so the
morning.
video is just going to go live, be 10 minutes long, centered on the follow-up report. I'm assuming they just.
Yeah, I'll show you guys here on the stream. Yeah, and to the comment I read earlier, like in terms of quote unquote second party developers, there it is. It says 10 minutes, by the way. Yes, it could be those things, but we kind of have to wait and see like what Nintendo's intent is here. Like I agree there could still be published Nintendo titles, which is why I suggested Bravely Default 2. That's a published Nintendo title. So we will see what exactly it entails tomorrow. But you know, if there's any like, I guess theoretically anything that's not being made by an in-house team could happen. But just for the record, people get that confused though. So for example, Monolith Soft, Retro Studios, a lot of people get those confused and say that those are they are not third party. They are wholly owned by Nintendo. They are basically Nintendo EAD. So that would not qualify as partners. That would qualify as Nintendo. So I don't expect any Retro Studios updates or Monolith Soft updates unless there is someone else involved. But Bravely Default 2, you know, Bayonetta 3, because that is Platinum Games. That's not under Nintendo. They are paying Platinum Games to make Bayonetta 3, so those games for sure. Bayonetta 3, I mean, No More Heroes 3 is not even being published by Nintendo. Last I checked, so that is just fully third party. So I see that happening. If F-Zero is being made by a other team outside of Nintendo, then yeah, I think that's possible. If the 2D Metroid is being made by Mercury Steam, I think that's possible, because those would be a partner-like situation, for sure.
I'm just keeping my expectations to
right.
Very,
right now,
very small minimum.
yeah. They said previously announced titles, so they're suggesting there won't even be any new announcements. So
Again, they say previously they'll be sharing some things about previously announced titles. It doesn't mean there is no new announced titles.
Yeah,
but
that's true. But
in
there
10,
probably
in
be
10
like,
minutes.
It's 10 minutes. Like
there might be like one to end the show or something.
Yeah, like
Bravely Default 2, if they're going to share some information, is going to take 3 minutes.
Yeah.
How much can they do in 10 minutes? And actually, so it may be one game they drop a trailer for that's new. They could always share something about Bravely Default, sizzle reel a few things, Doom Eternal, share some things, and then close out with a big trailer.
Yeah,
it's possible. I
wouldn't be too surprised if they kind of don't do a lot of deep dives, just kind of run through a lot of stuff. It's like, oh, you can go like find more information on the website or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I see people in chat are debating how many dislikes is this gonna get.
Too many.
I don't know. It might be good, guys. So I wouldn't. We'll see.
I still think I don't think it matters if there's not going to be any first-party stuff. I'm going to be upset.
Oh, I'm probably going to enjoy this anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is people want Nintendo stuff, so I do think they should have been clear. If they should have said, "Hey, Nintendo stuff," that we'll have another presentation later on talking about our other stuff, but they haven't.
True.
So.
Yeah, I mean, for
Microsoft,
I'm not sure exactly when they announced the second first-party event, but by the end of the third-party event, we'd already known there would be another one. We didn't know exactly when in July it would be, but we knew it was going to be this.
Yeah, I see a couple questions coming in the chat, but we sort of addressed already, but I'll just say it again just so everyone's in the clear. So one, I heard someone bring up Retro Studios being a partner. Retro Studios is owned by Nintendo, and Retro Studios is a Nintendo developer, so they would not qualify as a partner. They are Nintendo. So there's that. So I do not expect that there. Also, someone are asking where's the 10 minutes things coming from. Brandon figured it out. It was on the Nintendo Japan Twitter page, and we translated that.
Yes.
And yeah, about 10 minutes. That's what it said. So that's what's going on. Yep. So I'm keeping my expectations in check. I think there could potentially be some really cool stuff there, but it is only 10 minutes. And I do think that this means that there is another Direct coming not long after, because this doesn't sound like it's going to have the Mario remasters in there. And that is like, the worst kept secret of the year. and that's supposed to be right around the corner, as along with Pikmin 3 Deluxe and 3D World Deluxe. So you got to think that's getting announced soonish. So yeah, and we may not have to wait that long for it. Say it again.
The holiday's coming. They have to announce something soon.
Yeah. So it could just be that this is just one of two things, or it's just the beginning of like a sort of thing they've been doing. And actually, like, we had the Treehouse presentation for Paper Mario. Now we're getting this. Next week it might be something else, guys. Either way, this might be pretty good.
Before that, we were getting Pokemon.
True.
There's been quite a lot of
Yeah.
direct style.
And this is not an indie direct. So like these are not small companies that are showing off games. These are big companies that are partnered with Nintendo.
Yeah, we're talking about some good stuff here.
Yeah, they're either going to be showing off AAA games or games that are using Nintendo IPs. That a third party is using their IP. That's what this is going to be. This is not like, oh, these are all going to be trash games. I don't care about indie. Like, no. Like these are going to be. I would be very surprised if these games are not $60 games that are shown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not a tiny, like, it's a mini, but this isn't going to be a bunch of stuff that.
It's better.
Oh,
it's going to be better
nothing.
than an indie showcase. That I think more people are. It's going to be more interesting than an indie showcase. Not to kind of, I am. I'm saying that indie showcases aren't that exciting.
I love them, but like the majority of people seem to just gravitate towards the big budget games, and
yeah,
that's what this is.
Yeah. Yep. You guys, don't have any left field predictions besides the like handful we've mentioned already?
No, not really.
I just think it's kind of funny because, like, again, there's got to be Nintendo stuff's coming. I just think that the Nintendo stuff is still coming soon. We'll just have to wait on it. But we got to get up early in the morning, so I think we should probably, call it a night, peeps. I think we're pretty much there. Medicine is saying, look at what Kelios said. Did he say something that's like game changing here? I saw something on Reset where he said enjoy. So that's it. He said enjoy. That's it. So that's it.
I don't see this being Mario.
No. If it is, great, but it's they're partners. So
I'm
yeah.
I'm just interested to see what is actually going to be here. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of these games is, what's coming out really soon is Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
But at the same time, that's also coming out on PS4, and I believe it's crossplay, if I remember correctly. That might be in here as well.
Okay.
And they just actually released a video on it not too a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like early last week, I think. So there's a possibility that's in there.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think it's interesting that that this is just the way it's all happening. It's just like kind of unexpected.
Yeah.
Big build up to I don't know what this is.
Towards the end, I was really thinking we weren't gonna say anything, and then all of a sudden refresh and there it was, something completely different than what I thought was.
Oh, so exciting! And then you read it and you're like, "Whoa, wait, what? Wait,
oh no, stop!"
So I got a couple.
It's very much like when Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival got announced. It's like, oh, what?
Yeah. So
it actually just sours the more you read.
Here, Medicine added me. Twitter user said, is 2 sentences in one. Partners games, third parties, and their own developer games, first party. It's just poorly written. Kelia said this was correct. Okay. All right. I mean, we'll see tomorrow, right? Like, we'll see.
I mean, if it's 10 minutes, It's not gonna.
No.
Anything,
Yeah.
like,
Again, I think it's just weird. Like, if this is all they're gonna do for the next like, if we have to wait another 3 months to get more information from Nintendo, I think that would be really weird because, you know, pre-orders go up. People have to know what they're gonna start investing their money into ahead of time to some extent. So I just feel like, again, we'll see what this is. It's just 10 minutes apparently. So I just think there's got to be more than this from Nintendo, but we'll see. We'll see what tomorrow has.
They try to do their third party and first party in this. For starters, it's weird that they call it a partner showcase if they're going to show off their own stuff. And second of all, how much are you going to fit into 10 minutes? What are they going to do? Show a trailer? I guess the updates on the previously announced game are just going to be a little 2-second of the date, the release date. They get. I mean,
there's definitely, I think, going to be a section where they just blow through things super quick. There's going to be like some lower key announcements where they're just going to be like, yep, bam, bam, bam. But yeah, I don't. Even in 10 minutes, I think they can do a good amount of stuff if they say what they, you know, they do what they say and they actually focus on their partners instead of.
It's so weird. It's like if they show the Mario stuff to it's just like the wording is just so weird. So
it is very strange.
Like, so anyway, like because people are talking about in the chat, I'll just bring this up. So this is Kellius's Twitter is no longer private anymore. Anyway, basically, here we go. You know, he's just talking about it. This person calling all these people fake. They're not fake. But the person was saying that, so Kellis responds, first of all, you're misunderstanding the tweet. Second of all, what do you expect? Biscuits and tea from us? Watch the presentation and shut the hell up. Done of your toxicity since a few days. This person's asking about the Mario remasters in, like, Spanish? He says, you'll see. Okay, so, I mean, it's just 10 minutes. Again, guys, we won't know until this, you know, kind of all comes together tomorrow. But, yeah, this is.
I will say,
interesting.
If they show off a lot in 10 minutes, that is a fast-paced 10 minutes.
Yeah. So we're not gonna know what's going on. We'll get a good perspective on things once we see it tomorrow. It's interesting. So, yeah. Anyways, Doom, I know you got to get to work in the morning. And at the very least, we all want to get up early in the morning to watch this.
Yeah.
So, guys, keep your expectations in check. I am excited. I think one thing to consider is that while we can't always get everything we want, Nintendo's still a company, a successful one that's trying to provide entertainment to us. So there will be some good stuff there. Maybe not what we expected, but there'll still be some good stuff. And if the Mario remasters aren't there, then I think they'll come later. But we'll see. So those are my final thoughts. Do you guys have anything else to say?
I'd like to say, you know, guys, been to the previous podcast, you know, I'm doing streams again. Did one last week. I'm going to try to do one more often. I don't really know the schedule yet, so I'm trying to get in the groove of things. But, you know, I'll be live reacting to this tomorrow morning. So, stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
I will be at work. Hopefully on break.
Yeah,
watching
I mean, you could theoretically take a bathroom break and watch the whole thing. So
I got a break around then anyways. I'll make it work.
Okay.
I'll find a way to watch it. But I'm not super excited, but I'm not really disappointed. So we'll see what there is.
A really interesting way to put it. Yeah.
I'll judge it tomorrow after I see it. And if it sucks, then I'll be disappointed with it. And if not, I'll be happy.
Very cool.
So I will probably be pretty happy with it. I mean, it's Nintendo, and they're going to be showing off some stuff that I probably want to buy.
Yeah. Oh, what if it's Monster Hunter? Oh man.
No.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, look.
Well, no, what? I'm not getting that expectation up.
I'm sorry.
If it is, it's Monster Hunter Stories, and I will just smash my head on the table.
All right. Expectations in check, but we'll see what happens tomorrow, guys. All right. So now I'm ending the stream. Have all a good night. Try to get some rest, and we'll be streaming this tomorrow. Well, Brandon and I will. Make sure to check both these guys out. They're linked in the description below. Yes. So take care. See ya.
See you
Bye.
guys.